Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast, is available on all mainstream audio and video feeds. Find out how you can support the show by heading over to patreon.com/Critical Frames.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast. We are coming at you the day after Gamescom Opening Night Live, where, I don't know, we'll discuss. Is it like a 5 out of 10 show? Is it a 10 out of 10 show? Are our minds blown? Joe and I took the path of least resistance and didn't watch it. We just caught up with it on articles after the fact. But there's some cool stuff to talk about. We're going to touch on Black Myth Wukong, which has been the big game this week, and go into a few of the things we heard here, but it's going to be pretty interesting. I think we got a lot of cool topics. But first, before we get started on that, Joe, how was your week? What have you been up to? What are you going to be doing this weekend? Are you excited? Let's hear it.
Good. I mean, it's been, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday. So it's only been 5 days since we last recorded.
A little shorter.
The last episode, so there's not been as much going on, but I've been playing a lot of Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Fire game, dude. Like, so flawed, but it's a childhood favorite, and it's so simple, and it's kind of nice going back to those like 6th generation classics, you know, and thoroughly enjoying the simplicity of those games' designs. So
I'd be down for playing it. It's just one of those things where I don't have the nostalgia, so I'm not really like I'm not clearing my schedule to play it. But
yes,
I bet if I bought it and like decided to make that my game, I'd have fun. I'm sure. I think I'd like it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's got some like neat little platform elements. I think the worst part about it is probably just like the lack of weapon variety, enemy variety, and scalability of the platforming sections. It doesn't get harder. It just kind of So
same old.
That's basically been my week, dude. To be honest, like just chilling. You know what I'm saying? What about you?
For me, the big thing was we got a nice privacy fence installed in our front yard. So we have, and Joe's been to my house. I think we have a pretty nice house.
You do.
But the big negative with it is that, as I'm sure many of you know, if you've ever lived or been in certain residential areas, we live in one of those streets where all the houses are, I don't know, 6 to 8 feet. Maybe it's not that close. Maybe I'm being exaggerative. It feels like when you reach your hand out the window of your house, you could touch the neighbor next to you. All the houses are very close.
Poor you guys. That's everyone in the UK if you're not a farmer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's not the most common thing here, but that's where we live. So we have a really nice, like 2-story, 4-bedroom house, but our neighbors are super close. And then our backyard was so small, and we had we had no parking, that when we moved into this house, we turned our backyard into a 2-car driveway off the road. Because like I said, it was so small. It was a joke yard.
Right.
I mean, it was more like a patch of grass than a yard. And then so all we had left was just our front yard. And so there's nowhere for our daughter to play outside as it was. So we bought a nice vinyl fence, privacy fence installed in the front yard. So that got done this week, but it was just a headache a little bit because we had gas lines where we were going to put posts down, so those had to be moved. And we had to go through more concrete in the sidewalk than we thought we'd have to, so like they had to go get a different tool. And then the final nail in the coffin was, as they were finishing the last gate they were going to put up, the gate was broken that came in.
Right.
So they had to reorder us another gate, which means the fence is done and installed, but the gate is not up. So we have to wait for them to come back, put the gate on. So a lot of issues there, but it looks really nice. Of course, now the thing is like, because they have to dig up all these holes for the fence posts, all around our yard is big chunks of rock and hard dirt and clay, which we've had to clean up. And we cleaned up a lot of it yesterday, but like it's still like dirty and it covers the grass, and like the grass is still there, obviously, but like the dirt's on top of it. So it's like, it just looks kind of shady and messy. And the fact that it's almost September, we're probably going to just like do our best. And really the yard's not going to look really nice till next year, because we're going to get into wintertime and stuff like that. So basically the fence has been the thing this week. And then, I've been going hard on, well, that's not even fair. I haven't had much time to play games, but I've been thinking about Nier Replicant a lot. I've been playing Nier Replicant every time I get a chance. Probably played it, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours since we recorded last, maybe. But that's what I'm playing. We'll get to that later. But you're looking forward to what's coming up. You're going to be going camping, right?
Yes, I don't know where we're going because we've still got to plan it. But we are going camping somewhere in Wales. I've got my new bag actually. I bought a new ultralight bag which only weighs 800 grams, I think, which is 800 grams less than, I don't know what that is in like pounds or whatever, but 800 grams less than my original one. It has less sort of like load capacity, but it's nice, dude.
No
it's
wonder
nice.
You like Death Stranding, bro. Like, because I know you, Joe, and you have never directly said this, but I bet what I'm about to say is correct. Another aspect of camping and hiking to you that you love, aside from the views and the fresh air and the exercise, is you like that like minimalist mitigating, like how little weight can I carry? What can I pack? You like that, don't you?
It's min-maxing, bro. Like
min-maxing, and that is, dude,
RPG min-maxing, yeah.
Death Stranding is Joe Smalley the game.
Dude, game was built for me. What can I say?
That's awesome. Now, what would bother you more? Because I don't know. I think we've mentioned this on the podcast before. I want to know what would bother you more. Mm-hmm. Would you be more bothered if you all went on a long, arduous camping trip, but it was just like on some hills in town behind like McDonald's and Walmart?
Right.
Or you went camping to a really, really nice mountain, but you only went halfway up, and then you all stopped to play Mario Kart 64 or Mario Kart on the Switch.
Do I have to be glued to the screen on the second one? Like, can I?
You don't, but you have to. Let's say you go out hiking. It's a 48-hour ordeal. 15 of those hours have to be spent on Mario Kart and Super Smash. So it boils down to like a really nerdy gaming sesh when that wasn't the goal. Or you can go full on hiking with the tent stuff, but it's just like hills behind like McDonald's and Walmart and shit.
You know what? I'm gonna say McDonald's at Walmart.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, because
more unique experience.
More unique experience, and it's one of those things where like it's about what you do, not where you go. In many ways, with these things. So like you can be just with the boys and like just chilling, and as long as you are just chilling, like, and you're playing cards, or fucking, I don't know, beating the shit out of each other. Who fucking knows? Like it's great. It's great fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just. That's what it's about, bro. Like it's not about like, I mean the views are important, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gorgeous, but it's not everything. So
I like playing up the joke that like the truth is, if I went on a hiking trip, I wouldn't want to bring video games. But I like playing up the joke that I would like if I went with you to the trip, like hiking up behind like McDonald's at Walmart, you'd look like, guys, where'd Brian go? Like, oh, he's playing the video game demo kiosk down at Walmart. Like he just couldn't get away for a moment.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I might join you for a couple of hours. Who knows? You know,
maybe. I don't know, Joe. Maybe. Maybe if they were like the old school ones, like the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, like kiosk.
Yeah,
dude. Look up at it and your neck like is going to break off.
Yeah, but you're tall. You don't have to do that. Like
I just look down at it.
You look down at it. I'll have to go on your shoulders, bro.
But you're actually relatively tall too, which always like I have been around you in person. And I'm sorry that this is the truth, Joe. I apologize for this, but I still envision you, even now, as like a 5'3", a 5'3" man. Wolverine, and I have hugged you. You are not anywhere near 5'3". So
yeah, I'm not quite Claptrap from Borderlands. But yeah,
dude, you could probably be like the best role in that movie from what I've heard. Like,
I'd probably be better than Jack Black. Let's be honest.
Kevin Hart's in it. He's 5'3". Why is Kevin Hart in it? I don't know.
Like they made him play like the most jacked like black soldier ever, Roland. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's wild. But I don't know. Is there anything more you want to say about your camping trip, or did I cut you off? I don't know.
No, because I don't really know what's going on. I got to be honest. Like,
you want to go. I'm
kind of in the dark. This happens a lot though. Like we get to a point and it's just like we need to plan this, and it's always like a day before, and it's like, oh shit, like what do we do? So yeah, apparently they've got a route, but I'm not privy to it yet. So yeah, that's all I know.
Okay. Would you rather? It's my last one. Would you rather? Would you rather have like a really nice, like big kind of mountainous climb,
right?
But your ex-girlfriend's there. She comes along,
right. Or
you guys go hiking, but it's completely flat the whole time. Just flat. It's like the cornfields of Iowa.
Yeah, it's flat. Like I've been thinking about doing a coast to coast from like east to west or west to east in the UK or whatever, up near the Lake District, and a lot of that is flat. Once you get out of the Lake District, it's just flat walking, and apparently it's good. It's fun. It's nice. But
okay, Cool. All right, we can move on to games, Joe. I won't hit you up with more of those.
Are you sure, Brian? You want another would you rather?
Well, by the time the end of this podcast happens, it's a good chance I'll ask another one. We'll see. But yeah, guys, we're going to go through a little bit quickly here. We'll focus on some things longer, but mostly just kind of go through quickly everything that was announced or came up during the Gamescom Opening Night Live. This was another like mid-tier Jeff Keighley show. It wasn't Game Awards. It wasn't kind of the E3 season. So Joe and I didn't bother watching it as it came out. We just checked everything up after the fact.
It is so much better reading it all up after the fact. Like, honestly, I love it.
I think 9 times out of 10, you are correct. I think every now and then there's like a very special show where it's like, oh, I'm glad I got to like witness that. But that's not very often, to be fair.
No, I mean, like I'll watch the Game Awards live. That's fun, but not this.
Well, like and I can't remember if I watched it. I think I did watch it live, but I can't remember that or not. But like everyone mentions the E3 of Dreams, which is like the 2015 Final Fantasy VII remake and Shenmue and Last Guardian and stuff like that. Like that's the kind of one you want to like be there.
My favorite was 2016, which is when Spider-Man and God of War and stuff were announced and all that.
Oh, the God of War moment was very special.
That's the best Sony presentation in my opinion ever.
That's very fair. So going over to, I don't know if you already went to slide 2, Joe. I just skipped ahead to slide 2 because, But Gamescom Opening Night Live, Borderlands 4. This is something that has pretty much, if you're an industry, like, how do I put it? I almost said industry insider, but Joe and I are not industry insiders. If you're a nerd at all that just like frequents gaming news, like you're not just
informed.
If you're just informed, like Borderlands 4 has been talked about for, I feel like over a year now. It was with Embracer and now it's with Take-Two, I believe.
Yep. 2K games. Sorry, 2K games. Yeah.
Yeah, more 2K games. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. More Borderlands. It's not on Pandora. I've never liked or been interested in the series. What do you think, Joe?
So I love Borderlands 1, but it definitely felt like very much a proof of concept game. Not as much as something like an Uncharted 1, but proof of concept. Borderlands 2 is where it peaked, and that's where it stayed, in my opinion, and should have.
A lot of people say that.
Borderlands 2 was just so fucking good, dude. I have so much like history with like playing with my buddies till like, gone ridiculous hours, during high school or secondary school, as we call it. But I got to be honest, like I played the pre-sequel. That was the last one I played. I didn't play Borderlands 3, and
everyone dogs on 3. So
yeah, I'm just not interested in the series anymore. I don't know whether it's I've like outgrown it or like they haven't evolved it enough to keep it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's trapped in time. Like maybe like we only needed 1 or 2 games,
Yes. Yeah. Just not. Whatever, dude.
Do you think it'll be a big success? Because like sometimes I underestimate that like people really love Borderlands. Do you think this will be a big success or like Borderlands 4 failed to meet expectations type thing?
Bro, I feel like they need it to be a big success after this failure of the movie. Like they have to, right? And Borderlands 3, I don't think sold too well and wasn't critically that well received. So yeah, I think they have to, but I think they're gonna have to like kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit. I think for this one to make it actually like pop. I think so. We'll see.
Yep. All right, next slide. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I have nothing more I want to say on this. Showed off some campaign stuff.
Yeah, I mean it looks fine. We had RCXDs coming back. This is the thing with Call of Duty now. It kind of feels like, it felt like it got away from, even though it rebooted the Modern Warfare series, it kind of felt like it was trying to do something wholly unique and original when it rebooted the Modern Warfare, like really up the presentational value, kind of upgrade that Call of Duty engine a lot and stuff. But now it just feels like they're always relying, seemingly so, on kind of the laurels of the series to kind of hit home. They're bringing all the RCXDs back and stuff and the dogs and the Cold War vibes, and it looks obviously high quality, but I wasn't impressed that much with the Modern Warfare 2 reboot game campaign because that's the last one I played. So I'm not going to touch this, but it looks as high quality as any big budget blockbuster Call of Duty, so good for those guys, I guess. Like, yeah,
I was definitely like when I was in high school, I was definitely in the wrong because I remember like Halo started to peter off in its success around after Halo 3, really, other stuff came in like Call of Duty. And I just assumed back when Call of Duty was huge, started to be huge 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, whatever. I assumed in a decade and a half, much like Halo, Call of Duty would start to wane.
Sure.
It hasn't waned really at all.
No.
So kudos to them.
It's he's kind of in that FIFA realm. I mean, he definitely is in that FIFA realm or Madden realm where people just keep buying it, even regardless of the quality of the game or like the innovation.
Like I hated the last two. They'll buy the third year.
Yes, yeah, because it's a tradition. It's it's the like to some people, it's like a tradition, like I don't know, Thanksgiving or something to Americans. It's like, oh, just the Call of Duty's coming out, I'll buy it every year, fuck it, and it's like their only game they buy, that and FIFA, that and Madden. So and who am I to judge? But
if it makes them happy, I can't really blame them. So.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Moving on, Goat Simulator like remaster.
Yeah, brilliant.
Cool for those that like Goat Simulator. I'm good on that one.
I tried Goat Simulator when PewDiePie like made it big and stuff back in the day, and I got to be honest, when I played it, I didn't find much value in the game outside of like if you're like a reactionary YouTuber where you can play up the laughs and the funnies and stuff and really like play into that physics engine, I can totally understand the appeal of Goat Simulator, especially from like a career standpoint in that regard, like getting sort of views and that lot. But when I played it, I was bored. I was very bored. So
never tried it.
I don't think Goat Simulator is going to be my thing. I don't think I'm picking it up. All
right, moving forward. Persona 3 Reload episode Aegis DLC is coming to the remake on September 10th. So, this is a series that I have some interest in getting into one day. I just don't have the time right now. But I've heard Persona 3 Reload is like the definitive way to play it. People are very happy with it. Glad they're getting DLC. So
so I have loads of people that I know that plays Persona 5, Persona 4, Persona 3, and they're like some of the greatest games to them ever made, like some of the best like JRPGs kind of jobbies. And I mean, that's great. I love it. But every time I look at this game, I have no idea what's going on. It's kind of like when I look at Final Fantasy 16 in many ways, there's lots of explosions and shit going on. And I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, dude, this is cool. I mean, it's a DLC coming to the remake. Yeah. Cool. Nice. Awesome.
Sweet. You have to let me know if I get into like an Xbox. There's no such thing as Xbox exclusives. But if I get into like an Xbox or Nintendo exclusive, Joe, remind me to go on, because I could easily go through these slides and be like, forget that we're doing PlayStation stuff, So just let me know. Dying Light: The Beast. Next up, Techland announced the next game in the Dying Light series called Dying Light: The Beast, an open world parkour based zombie game that will include 20 hours of new content. So. Sounds to me like a full-on Dying Light expansion size type thing. I actually did play and really enjoyed the first game. It was more like a buy it and play it to have a blast. Don't really care about the story or world.
It is, yeah.
So I never played 2, and I probably won't play this, but I have respect for Dying Light. I think it's a good series. Good. Good is the right word. Not great, not exceptional.
Yeah.
Good.
So I would actually say that Dying Light 1 is great. I would put it like an 8 out of 10. I really do. I really do enjoy it. Yeah. But I do agree in the sense that the narrative is basically just like a bunch of caricatures like arguing with each other and stuff. And it was especially the enemy. The main villain. What's his name? I can't remember now. But anyway,
the first game.
Yeah, like
I can remember him, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he's like really like archetypal, and like there's a part where he burns his hand, like when he gets his arm cut off, and he's like, Crane! Like, and it's just like, why? Like he does the yelling, yelling the protagonist's name and stuff, and it's like, okay, this is cool, I like it, but it's not winning no awards for narrative. But yeah, this is cool. I like this. This is actually going to be a shorter experience than most Dying Lights. I think the idea is the entire game is going to be 20 hours, so it's not going to be as expansive in the side content as the previous games. What I like about this game, though, is it's kind of leaning more into kind of what Far Cry, I think it's Primal Instincts or whatever it was, when like in the original Far Cry had like 3 or 4 games of it. And like there was the original Far Cry, but then there was like the one where you could be a beast and a monster.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, Primal.
I think Primal's the one that came out after 4, but I think it's Instincts or some shit like that. And this is kind of similar to that. So I'm kind of interested to see how they flesh out that sort of, that mechanical side of being a monster, in many ways. I think that's cool.
Well, I didn't look into the price of this, but I'm assuming it's not full price. It doesn't give me the vibes of something I'd want to pay full price for, but, $40 or less, that could be nice.
I don't think they've announced the price yet.
Dying Light: The Beast, but
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good announcement.
Yeah.
Moving forward, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I do love Dragon Ball, but I don't really play the games. I have actually heard a lot of people talk about this one. I think this is actually going to be a pretty huge game.
Okay.
Maybe not in like a, Game Awards type way, but in a like this. I feel like this would be the game that like one day we're just like looking at news articles and we're like in the news article will be like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero hits 15 million copies sold, and we'll be like, what? Wait, what? Okay, like I think it's gonna sell well. People are really excited for this one, so it looks good. Yeah,
yeah. No, I have nothing in this. I don't watch Dragon Ball. I don't play the games, but this is cool. I mean, Dragon Ball games have always been pretty high quality, right? For the whole,
I think
pretty good.
Yeah, I think the bar for making them worth buying for people is pretty low. If you can pick from your characters and pick a stage that's from the show and fight, you're pretty good. So I remember it was Budokai is what me and my friends played when we were like little. So
yeah.
Moving forward, King of Meat online multiplayer game show simulator King of Meat made its debut with Jeff Keighley in its animated form, getting dragged into Jeff Keighley in his animated form, getting dragged into its deadly game. This was a cute little bit. By the way, we're reading all these from Kotaku just in case you guys want to see all the announcements yourself and read through.
Yep.
I don't know, little indie online multiplayer game. I've heard some people excited for it, but
this kind of reminds me of what's it called? Fuck me, Castle Crashers and shit like that, like a modern rendition of Castle Crashers in many ways. And I can see it being really fun. The art style puts me off massively because it just feels like it's like it's got like a color scheme to it and a style, even though the characters aren't like this. But like
it looks like
Funko Pop or something. It
looks like Ghostwire Tokyo meets Candy Crush.
Yeah. Weird. So, not for me, but people find it fun. Cool.
Okay, moving on. Linked Banner of the Spark. I have not heard of this till this literal moment as it comes out of my mouth. I never heard of this. It says next was Linked Banner of the Spark, the debut game from developer FuzzyBot. The game looks like one part city builder and another part arena beat 'em up. Its early access will come to Steam October 22nd. That doesn't really seem like my kind of thing, but cool artwork. So
yeah, not for me either. Just looks just not my kind of thing. Like that's all I can say really. So let's move on.
Yeah, we don't have to say a lot about all these things. This is the game on. I'm stealing this, but at the same time, I'm not stealing it because I thought it before they said it. But on Kind of Funny, this is the game they say just makes them think of the Texas Roadhouse appetizer Bloomin' Onion. It's called Lost Records Bloomin' Rage. Life is Strange developer Don't Nod made an appearance to showcase the first gameplay of Lost Records Bloomin' Rage. If you like Don't Nod's games, their style, the Life is Strange style, it's another game there. Not really my thing. So.
No, I mean, the Telltale games for me, that style, because obviously Life is Strange kind of took inspiration from that in many ways. They only interest me if like they're of a certain matter or a kind, a topic. You know, the Batman one was interesting to me. The Walking Dead one was interesting to me. The Wolf Among Us was really interesting.
Like, you don't care about these type of games, but suddenly if it was a Death Stranding one, you'd be like, I'm in.
Yeah, but I don't really care about, like, I've never played Life is Strange, even though I've heard it's amazing. It's just not. Yeah, it's just not really a thing. So
same, dude. Next one is No More Room in Hell 2. I didn't know there was a No More Room in Hell 1.
I played it.
Oh, you did? What? Well, tell me about it. What do you think? 8-player co-op game about shooting zombies. This seems very generic. What is your thoughts on this series?
No More Room in Hell is basically like a really, really budget. Well, the first one is a really, really budget sort of indie. I would say indie studio, like PC game that came out a while back. It was fun to play around in for like 2 hours, but then I instantly got this feels janky. This feels unfinished. It doesn't feel great. The mission, like the levels, don't feel very structured. It's asymmetric, like Left 4 Dead in many ways. You know, like. You just got to get to the end of the level and survive and stuff. And yeah, dude, but I don't understand why they're coming out with the second one because I don't think the first one did all that well. And I feel like there's not much attachment to this IP. Why not just make a whole new thing?
Maybe it's one of those things where like it's a low enough budget that like they can guarantee a decent profit turnaround. So
apparently they've been making this since 2013. That's 11 years of development.
Yeah. I don't see good things coming from it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, moving forward. Arc Raiders. Next, we get an ominous cinematic teaser for Arc Raiders, a survival shooter launching in 2025. You know, much like live service shooters and like stuff like that, like I'm kind of fizzled out on survival stuff. So cool looking aesthetic to this, but not for me. So
yeah, Buy and Box Studios. But aside from that, like I like the aesthetic of this a lot. I really do. I love the aesthetic of this. It's kind of got like a, I don't know what you compare it to, like a. It's got like Armored Core vibes with the mechs in it, but then also it kind of like crosses into that sort of NASA punk
Starfield's what I was gonna say.
Starfield vibe about it. This looks cool. It's oddly for the sort of title card and the name and stuff. It's got like a weird, again, like Commodore 64 Concorde vibe about it. So like I hope for dear Lord's sake that this game doesn't go the way of Concorde or whatever. But yeah, this is it's cool. But yeah.
Okay, moving forward. Infinity Nikki. We saw this earlier in the year. I have no interest in this game at all.
Yeah. No.
Not for me.
This is prime weeaboo.
I was gonna say this though. This looks like something you and Darren would like call me out for playing.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not gonna judge you, but I can kind of see you like in a year's time being like, oh yeah,
guys.
If
Infinity Nikki is lit.
Banging, bro. Banging. Like,
you guys need to play Infinity Nikki.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. I could see me doing that too, you know? So.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. I've seen a lot of hype kind of starting to drum up for this one. The first one came out like over 10 years ago. It's very kind of Gears of War-esque in the gameplay and style.
Yeah.
To be honest, if a younger Brian, I'd be buying this day one because it just looks right up my alley and it looks awesome. Yeah. But nowadays, I just kind of have a wider palette and I have less time and just less time. So I probably won't buy this one, but it's not because it doesn't look good. This looks like something, it'd be awesome. It looks like it'd be a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
So, did you play the first one?
I did. I played the first one on the Xbox 360. Loved the campaign mode of it. It's just like Gears, really, in many ways.
Yeah.
But a lot less emphasis on cover and more just like murdering everyone with your chainsaw and your bolt gun or your bolter or whatever it's called. Yeah, really cool. And it also had like a really unique, sweet little like multiplayer mode, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. But yeah, dude, I'm actually excited for this game because one, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks like everyone's Space Marine's wet dream. The amount of customization, Warhammer 40K's fans' wet dream. The customization looks gorgeous. It just looks really good. You know, there's like a co-op mode, and then there's obviously the campaign, and then there's the multiplayer mode like before. There's classes, there's loads of different weaponry seemingly. So it really looks like they've gone all in with Space Marine 2, which is surprising because even though Warhammer 40K is like really popular, obviously in the tabletop scene, it's the biggest war game in the scene. I don't know how popular it is from a game sales standpoint, a video game standpoint. Like they release a lot. Games Workshop games come out all the fucking time. Warhammer games are a dime a dozen. But yeah, I don't know how well they sell. I'm sure they sell really well. But yeah, I'm just excited to, you know, like get as a fucking like a Space Marine and be like, for the Emperor, brother, bring the flamer. You know, like
awesome.
I think that's fucking badass. So yeah, dude, I'm in.
Sweet. Yeah. And if I had limitless time, I'd play it. It looks great, but I'll probably pass, but not
the
no
only
reason.
The only issue I have with this game is it's coming out around the same time as like Astrobot, right? In that month, and it's like
3 days after.
Yeah, I really want to play
Actually,
Astrobot,
it comes out before Astrobot if you buy the play early edition, whatever.
Yeah, the digital deluxe.
Actually no, it looks like if you just pre-order you get to play 4 days early. So
yeah, no.
Just pre-order it. You can play it before Astrobot. So,
but I might just like wait until it's on sale, you know, and like play it later. Yeah,
totally. Moving forward, Predecessor, the MOBA shooter from folks who worked on the game Paragon. Paragon was a big failure.
Amazon, right? Paragon.
Yeah, I'm not into MOBAs, so I'm out.
Yeah, not Amazon. Sorry, it was Epic Games. My apologies, but yeah, it was I mean, Paragon was cool. It was like a third-person sci-fi. It was kind of like if people have played Smite, which is like gods in the Greek pantheon and stuff like that, like of League of Legends, and that's third-person. Paragon was kind of like that, but it was sci-fi characters instead. And this ain't. I don't have much confidence in this, just because like
a lot of them out there already.
And in many ways, MOBAs have already been and gone.
If I remember right, when Epic like blew into the stratosphere with Fortnite, they just gave all of Paragon's assets for free to the community.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they just threw it all out there.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
It's like that game lost us $10 million, but we're making $18 billion on Fortnite. So
yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, I think this is a weird time to like kind of, because this very, very much in terms of the gameplay looks like a relaunch of Paragon in many ways. Like it's odd, but I think this is a strange point to release a whole new MOBA because Heroes of the Storm's gone like out the window. Like that's kind of that's on life
really
support.
If you're not Dota 2 or League of Legends, you're just there's no point.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
All right, moving forward, Path of Exile 2. I always thought Path of Exile looked cool because it was like a more return to form, kind of grittier Diablo.
Yep.
But I just never really played it. The second one looks good. Like I said, a younger Brian would play it, but I won't. But I mean, not for any bad reason. It looks great. I think it'll be cool. So
yeah, I'm not really into these ARPG kind of dungeon crawlers.
Okay.
They don't. I think I've spoken about this before.
I think you have.
But they just don't do it for me. Like they should seemingly hold my attention because there's like there's min maxing like we've just been speaking about with me in real life. Applying that, but
you just don't like clicking stuff. I guess
there's something about. I've never figured out why I don't like these games, but there's something about like not being able to like see the entirety of the battle, or like just that viewpoint is weird to me. Like
but
that
you
viewpoint
like
for me
RuneScape.
That's what I'm saying. Those viewpoints are exclusively like reserved for very specific, like either the MMO genre or the strategy genre. And if you try and apply that to an RPG that's like single player for me, it's like I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Like so.
All right. Well, probably not going to play this one, but looks great. Moving forward, Dune Awakening. You lose me when it's an MMO,
yes. But
it does look great. Just too bad I could not give two shits because it's an MMO. So
is it just me, or does this game look very plasticky? Like the textures and the reflection quality on the armor,
the textures and stuff for sure, but the gameplay and stuff. I mean, I think it looks pretty. I mean, no, I think you're right. It just looks plasticky, actually.
Yeah, the armor just looks odd.
It's because it's an MMO. They want to make it playable on more stuff, probably, and be expandable. So
it does look like a really solid looking MMO from a combat standpoint, but whether it'll hold people's attention all the way through, because let's think about MMOs right now as well. Like, what is actually going on in the scene that's popping? Like, obviously, World of Warcraft's got an expansion.
Final Fantasy 14 is the biggest one.
Realm Reborn, that's
and then it's WoW.
And then it's WoW, yeah.
And then a bunch of little things that hold an audience but aren't worth talking about.
Guild Wars has got an expansion coming out, I think. Yeah, Guild Wars 2.
Rings Online still going,
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe this can capture the attention. I mean, the fact that this is coming out within that, like, Denis Villeneuve, like, hype cycle of people really being attached to Dune is great. It'll no doubt bring people in, so, and they could probably do events to like, tie it into to the films. But yeah, dude. Yeah,
I think that's multi-platform. I just realized it only highlights Xbox, but they could have marketing rights. I would think it's multi-platform. It's got to be. But, we'll move forward. Reanimal. That is quite a name for a game. Little Nightmares developer Tarsier Studios revealed its next game, which is still in keeping with the team's horror aesthetic and vibe. It looks a fair bit more gruesome than the old games did, though, which specifically honed in on childlike nightmares and monsters. So aesthetically, this looks pretty cool. Reanimal is kind of a name that my mouth doesn't like to say, really.
Yeah, weird.
I know we have somebody in the Discord, maybe, I want to say maybe Boba's Feet. It's somebody who really loves the Little Nightmares games. So
shout out to Fab as well. Fab loved them.
Maybe it was Fab that I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's Fab, yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah, this game looks cool. It's kind of delving more into the like Pet Sematary kind of vibe.
I get that vibe too.
Rather than I don't know what Little Nightmares was. I can't remember exactly, but is it like Eldritch in many ways? It's kind of like odd in that regard. I don't know,
I think it's like child Eldritch, like 80s maybe kind of kid Goonies type shit.
Yeah. But yeah, this looks cool. They never really interested me though. Like even things like Limbo and stuff though, they're very similar. Yeah. It's like whatever, but very cool.
All right, Joe. Moving forward, we got 18 of 48 here, and this is just the first thing we're talking about. So wow. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Genshin Impact. Neither of us play it, but it's coming to Xbox, which doesn't apply to this podcast at all. But it's on PlayStation. Moving forward, Monster Hunter Wilds. Going to be a huge game. Not a franchise I'm into, but seeing more of this is surely to get people excited.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World. I loved Monster Hunter World. I picked up Rise, tried to play it on the Switch, but something about playing portable. I can't keep my attention like a normal console or a PC. This looks fucking dope. It looks like more Monster Hunter. I'm probably not going to play it because this sounds really like reductive and annoying probably to people that are like really in the Monster Hunter world, but Monster Hunter to me is once you play like one of them, it feels like you played all of them in many ways. So yeah, I probably won't pick it up, but this looks dope.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, I could see it being a franchise that like 5-10 years from now, I'm like, hey, I'm a Monster Hunter fan now, guys. I mean, if I get into it, but not for now.
Yeah.
What is this? Naraka Blade Point X Tomb Raider. Lara Croft is getting around in a lot of different games and crossovers, and that includes Naraka Blade Point, which is having a crossover event featuring Tomb Raider on August 28th. I don't even know what Naraka Blade Point is. It is weird how I feel like, I don't know if it's Amazon's involvement or maybe it's an Embracer thing, but like Tomb Raider is starting to get kind of injected back into culture in a bunch of different ways. But
I feel like they're really testing the waters with it because I don't think that trilogy did all that well, especially the last one. You know, the reboot trilogy.
Yeah, I think the reboot, the first one, I think did probably really well. Actually, no, that's the one that Square Enix came out and said they were disappointed with only 7 million copies sold.
Square Enix is always disappointed with every game that they put out when it comes to sales. They want Horizon sales, but yeah, Naraka Blade Point is basically like a battle royale Chinese game, published by NetEase. So yeah, it's good. It's survived its fucking longevity in many ways, so it must be doing well. So
cool. More Tomb Raider. Moving forward, Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves. I've never played a Fatal Fury game.
Nope.
I don't know anything about them. Not interested.
Fighting game. Okay. Missed me. Not bothered.
Okay. Is that the one with Terry Bogard? I think it is.
I have no
Smash
idea,
Bros. Okay. I don't know. Maybe. Moving forward, Mecha Break. If Armored Core 6 didn't satiate your need for a mech game, there's also Mecha Break, a multiplayer mech game coming to PC and Xbox Series X, which is not PlayStation, so we don't care here. We only care about PlayStation. No, guys, we own Xboxes and PCs and shit, but
I care.
But yeah. Are you going to play this game? Multiplayer mech game?
This actually looks really fucking fire. I gotta admit, like, I love the movement.
You loved Armored Core 6, so
it feels like a faster Armored Core 6. I'm probably gonna pick it up. Is it free? I don't know. Like,
I don't think so.
Is it gonna be a free to play or is it just a buy? I mean, if it's good, like I'll buy it. I'll get in there.
You're gonna betray Sony like that and not play on the PlayStation 5.
I mean, if it was on the PlayStation 5, I'd play it on the PlayStation 5.
No, you gotta be loyal, bro. You can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Next.
Moving forward. Monument Valley 3. Didn't know there was a Monument Valley 1 or 2. This looks indie. Jeff took the stage once more to unveil Monument Valley 3, the latest entry in the world-shifting puzzle series from Us 2 Games. It will be available exclusively on Netflix Games. Wow. No interest.
Is Joe Statham's helming that then, huh?
I guess. Okay.
Yeah. This doesn't interest me at all. They're a London-based studio, Us2O. They're actually labeled as a software development company, which is strange instead of a video game development company. But it looks gorgeous. I will say that it looks really cool. But aside from that, meh.
All right, next one, Civilization 7. These games always seem like something that if I sat down and could no-life them, I feel like I'd probably really like them because I not only like real-time strategy games, but I also like roller coaster tycoon type games. So I feel like this would hit with me.
Yes.
But I don't have that kind of time. So I've never played one, but I'm guessing this will be pretty huge for Civ fans. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, so I started on Civilization 4. Really enjoyed what I played of it at 20 frames per second on a shitty-ass laptop. Then
Those are the days.
And then I really got into Civilization with 5 with all the DLCs because that's like to me the best Civilization. Some people say 4, but I say 5 because it's when I really started. Yeah, amazing series. One of my favorite strategy games of all time. Just really chill. Like you can play it, competitively, casually. It's just great. It's just fun. It's really satisfying. It's really addictive. And then I played 6, and 6 was kind of like a bit like, whatever. It was kind of like going from Sims 3 to Sims 4 in many ways. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I don't know if it'll top Civ 5 because Civ 5 is kind of like the perfect Civ game for me.
Is that more of a you thing, or like does everyone kind of agree like Civ 5's the best one?
I don't necessarily know because like I'm a really casual like Civ player. Like I'll say that now. But ultimately, like I think the reason why I love Civ 5 so much is because I got it when like all the content was in it. Like I got the complete pack, so it feels like all of it's like really well like balanced and really well like thought out, and there's just enough there for me, So yeah, but this is cool.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely like an awesome series. I don't know if I'll ever get to it or not, but it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we'll skip over Starfield, even though it's probably going to come to PlayStation within a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Marvel Rivals. This is the next hero shooter coming after Concord, which Concord is coming out soon for PlayStation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is going to be coming out December 6th. I would say outside of Overwatch, this is probably the one people are most excited for. But I've heard, I've heard from a lot of people who are, more technical than me with these multiplayer things that, from even though they loved this game, it had a lot of like balancing issues and stuff to where they didn't think it would be ready to release this year. But it is coming out December 6th. So I would wager, especially being in December, all the major games have come and gone. Game Awards have already either come and gone, or maybe it's right around the time this game launches.
Sure.
Plus it's December, people, holidays and stuff. I think this will do really well, probably. People love Marvel. It looks like it's well developed. Looks like they understand why Overwatch was successful. I don't think I'll play this, but it is free to play. Will you play it, Joe?
I will be playing this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This looks really cool to me. I've always liked the Marvel characters. I grew up on the MCU. When I was a kid, I was 8 years old when the first Iron Man come out. So like, yeah, this is really dope. There's like a level of destruction to the game, I think, to a certain limit, which I think is really cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it. So
sweet. Yeah, it's mostly all good things we're hearing about Marvel Rivals. I think it's gonna maybe it'll make Blizzard get off their butt a little more with Overwatch.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Moving forward, okay, I'm going to mostly let Joe take this one. He's been excited about this. This is Secret Level. Deadpool director Tim Miller tearfully took the stage to introduce Secret Level, an Amazon TV anthology series he calls a love letter to video games. The series is made in collaboration with several video game studios and features episodes set in different video game worlds, including Pac-Man, God of War, Sifu, and more. So to me, it sounds like you're going to get like this Amazon TV series where like each episode's like about a different game, and it kind of puts you in that world. That's a really neat idea. I'm kind of it gives me kind of like Ready Player One vibes, but done more. I don't know if I want to say tastefully, but done where it doesn't all have to be mashed together. It can each thing can have its own time. What are you excited about? What do you think about this? Talk to us about it, Joe.
So this is obviously by Tim Miller, like Brian just said, but it's also the people who work on it. The people who do it is Blur.
Oh yeah, and Blur, they're the goats. They are the goats.
The goats. And and no, you didn't do the Taylor Swift one.
Oh yeah,
he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna embarrass himself. Yeah. So this is dope. It comes from the same people that did Love, Death and Robots.
Okay, heard good things about that.
Yeah, which the funny thing is I've never watched that. I've only seen one episode where Cthulhu's in it, right? But I've never like watched it like fully. I probably will now. This is coming out, but this looks so good. You had like Kratos in there, Mega Man, obviously Pac-Man, Sifu. The apprentice from Sifu in it. Space Race. It looks so bloody gorgeous. This in many ways is kind of what you want from something like people like Amazon have been trying to do the God of War series like recently, and they're trying to cast someone. It's like, how do you cast Kratos in live action? This is kind of the better way in many ways. Like just animate him, like
less likely to disappoint.
Yeah, 100%. But this looks so fucking cool. Like seeing Armored Core and stuff in there, like wow.
I'll check it out.
Wow, dude. Yeah. And so like that's the thing with Love, Death and Robots. It was very much like you just said. It's very segmented. Each episode is their own thing. So yeah, dude, this is dope. I'm excited.
Sweet. Yep, I'll be there when it comes out. It'll be awesome. Moving forward, we have Age of Mythology Retold. Yeah, I mean, is this? Do people put this? I know it's not up to the quality, but like, do people put this as like a thing like Civ, or is it way different?
Well, it's real time rather than turn based for one, so it's kind of in a different ballpark, and they're much more condensed. This is the same series as Age of Empires, which I really like as well. You can get games over within like 40 minutes to an hour or some shit like that, maybe even shorter. But yeah, this is like a fantasy version of it. I think it's really cool. They're really high quality games. Yeah, very, very excited for this one, to be honest. I'll probably get it on PC or something. So yeah.
Sweet. Did you play the original? Like, this is a remaster, so.
I never played the original, but I did play Age of Empires 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so.
Cool. Good series. Yep. Next is Towerborn. Fantasy beat 'em up. Early access on Steam. No interest.
Nope.
Moving forward.
Moving on.
Delta Force Hawk Ops. Shooter Delta Force Hawk Ops is coming to Steam Next Fest in October and will enter early access sometime. I don't know. A lot of these like multiplayer early access things, it's just like, it feels like we've seen them all before. That's not fair because for all we know, we're looking at the next big thing, but like, I'm not interested.
So here's the thing. I've been watching people play the early access like version of this, whatever it is. Like it's like a playtest or something. People that usually stream like things like Escape from Tarkov and these milsims and stuff. Because obviously that's the side of me that like I don't often tout, but I do partake in. This looks actually really fucking good. Like really good. Like it has elements.
Shows how much I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very like niche in many ways. It seemingly so. I mean, it's like aimed at the PC Steam shooter market, but one thing that I like about
PlayStation.
This, oh yeah, 100%. But I think the majority are probably
I'm just saying it's also that's cool. It's also on PlayStation.
Yeah. One thing that is mind blowing about this game so far that I'm seeing is that it's got like a Battlefield side of it, where it's got like the big maps and the loads of players and big team objective based stuff. But then it also has like the extraction mode of like a DMZ mode in Call of Duty, you know, on a big map again and stuff. And I think that's really cool. You know, it looks really detailed. It looks gorgeous. It's running on, I think it's running on Unreal Engine 5, which is pretty fucking dope. Yeah, I think this looks great. And I gotta be honest, like the thing I'm most excited for about it is it's doing what like a modern Battlefield from DICE and EA should be doing. But they've seemingly gone radio silent after Battlefield 2042. So if these guys can come and be like, we'll show you how to make a Battlefield game, and then that pushes Battlefield to DICE to make a better Battlefield game, dope.
Something weird is going on over there because, like, obviously Battlefield 2042 like came out of the gate and stumbled massively. I know it got improved over time, but it seems almost like they probably put too much money into that for the return. And then they had Marcus Leto of the father of Master Chief, Halo fame.
Yes, yeah.
They had him leading a studio to make like the next big single player Battlefield, and then he left, and then the studio crumbled. So Battlefield's in not the best shape for sure. Nope. But I'm glad that you could speak on this because it doesn't mean much to me. So next we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The first game wasn't like huge, but I know a lot of people who just low key really loved Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, I feel like I've heard that it's like Elder Scrolls if it was just there was no fantasy and it was just realistic.
It's Bohemia. Bohemia. Yeah.
So that's coming. Okay, that was a premiere that was today. Okay, it will launch on PC February 11th. So PC, Xbox, PlayStation, February 11th.
Yeah,
so I mean, hopefully they'll have learned from the first game, bigger budget, more awareness. Maybe this will do really well. Did you beat the first one? You play a lot of it, Joe?
I did not, because like as much as I loved it, I just found like the pacing of it just a little bit too slow. And at the time, my PC, because it was like going through a period of like the graphics card was dying, I couldn't play it like I wanted to, and it was stuttering and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to leave it and come back to it later. So I'll probably play it again one day. But I did enjoy like the 10, 15 hours that I played of it. But it is a pretty big game, dude. And it's got a very steep learning curve. It's not like a Skyrim where you can just walk up to people and hit people. Like there's directional sword swings and pushing and shoving. And yeah, dude, it's good though. It's really fun. So
sweet. Yeah, I've only heard good things. It doesn't seem like the game that would interest me because I do like more of the fantasy elements and like just swinging your sword and stuff. But this definitely taps into an audience that's underserved.
It's got a sim-like element to it as well, so that might turn you off a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we don't really have to touch on this too much. More Hoyoverse with Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Star Rail. Yeah. Showing off a new area in Zenless Zone Zero and a new collaboration for Honkai Star Rail. Not interested.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this aside from shout out to Fab again for this because I've seen him play in Zenless Zone Zero, I think, recently on my PlayStation friends list. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be excited for this. But yeah, this is not my thing.
Okay. Next up is a game I really wish was actually a game. It's Batman Arkham Shadow, which is a Quest 3 VR game.
Yeah.
I love the Arkham games, some of my favorite games ever created, but to see it be a VR brawler, I just could not care less. I might play this if it were free, if the set and the game were free, but even then I'm not sure. I just wish we could get proper Arkham back. Between this and Suicide Squad, it is very, very sad to be a Batman fan this year.
Doesn't all this make you really appreciate that era of Arkham?
Dude. Rocksteady? Oh, I hold it so dear.
Like, it's wild. You know, when you look at these games, you're like, yeah, maybe Arkham Knight and Origins weren't like, that bad.
Yeah. Well, the only one I ever really dogged was Knight, but like Knight is like, I mean, really comparatively, it feels like it's goated with the sauce, bro.
Like this shit, all this stuff that's going on now with WB games, this shit is like making that stuff look like 10 out of 10 Red Dead Redemption 2 level shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Arkham Knight to me was never a 10, but like, I mean, you could make an argument for a 10 for Arkham. I don't think you're right, but you can make an argument for Arkham Knight being a 10. None of this shit's even like, we're talking maybe you're hoping to get a 7 territory.
Yeah. Well, it's gorgeous, Arkham Knight. That game.
Love that game. It's great.
But yeah, this ain't it. I don't know.
All right.
It's kind of weird because I kind of want the developers to feel proud of making a cool VR title. I hope this is good, right? Because VR titles need to be celebrated for that medium to move forward and stuff and all that. But this, I don't know. I think it's more that it has a poor reading of where WB Games and Arkham is at, as opposed to the game itself that I take issue with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like I was an idiot because when Rocksteady said they finished up doing the Arkham series, I was like, okay, this series is freaking amazing. You could keep making these games forever and they would be so awesome and people would buy them. But you're deciding to quit and do something different. So my guess was they were going to do something really unique and special after that. And then they did Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And it just leaves you wondering, like, why didn't you guys just keep making Arkham games? Like, really? Like, if those are the paths, just keep making Arkham games. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
Moving forward, speaking of Little Nightmares earlier, this is the Little Nightmares 3 Friendship trailer. Not really interested in this, but people love these games. Little horror platformer puzzle game. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is fascinating because I think this is the first Little Nightmares game that is only developed by Supermassive. Normally it's a joint collaboration between Tarsier and Little Nightmares.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But because Tarsier are now making that Reanimal, which is what we talked about earlier, which we covered earlier, it'd be interesting to see what Supermassive do with Little Nightmares now that their helping team, their main team has moved to something else. But yeah, again, Fab's getting a lot of shout outs this time around. It must have been a great show for him. But yeah, shout out to Fab for this because he loves Little Nightmares. So yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Moving forward, we have Herdling. From the developers behind Far, Changing Tides, and the publisher behind Firewatch comes Herdling. The game seems to focus on a character herding animals through a long journey across distant lands. It will launch in 2025. This gives me vibes of like it's going to be at the Game Awards for an indie title. Looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. I have to say,
I like it's got like a unique gameplay idea.
Yes, which is cool. Where's the burning bush? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? This is cool. I think this is cool. It's got like a Gruffalo kind of thing going about it, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I probably won't play it, but like, it looks like an indie game that I actually like. I want to play it, so I kind of like that. That's
Brian's
neat.
On board.
That's neat. All right, we got a little over 10 more here to go through. Oh, dude. Oh, we're going to have so much to say about this one. I'll let you can go first, Joe, but basically this is Masters of Albion. Yep. Peter Molyneux of Fable fame, the guy known for hyping up his game, saying you could do things you could never do, and just overpromising ridiculously. It says Peter Molyneux made a rare public appearance to show off Masters of Albion. The Fable creator is returning to, you guessed it, the world of Albion. The game's development was entirely self-funded and includes members of the original Fable and Black and White teams. It's set in Fable's world, but feels much more like a God game along the lines of Black and White. So it seems like a combination of strengths the team has demonstrated in the past. So I don't know the full scope of how this works, but does it really take place in Fable's world? Because I would think that IP was just like locked up with Microsoft.
No, it's in. I don't know how canon it is to the events. I assume they're going to keep it very ambiguous to not tread on toes. But yeah, because like
Fable 1 is one of my, top 10 games of all time for me. Fable 1.
Yeah.
So it feels wrong saying this, but Peter Molyneux just feels like a hack, dude. Apparently, I saw people saying online that this game is reusing assets from his NFT game.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
dude,
so to give people like a backstory on like what Peter Molyneux, like the kind of final nail in the coffin in many ways for Peter Molyneux, even though he's somehow climbed out of his coffin for this one. He made a game. I mean, before what I'm about to say, like he hyped up his games to a ridiculous extent. Like Spore was like in his dreams and his visions of grandeur, his delusions of grandeur, like Spore was way ahead of what we actually got, even though it was still an alright game. But yeah, he made a game called Curiosity, I think in 2012 or 2011, which was a mobile game where like basically he had hundreds of thousands of people on mobile chipping away at this cube one block at a time. And what happened is the entire thing is like a big social experiment, essentially, of like people getting together and collaborating for ultimately a selfish goal, because the goal is when whoever hits the last block on the cube gets like a special reward. And no one knew what it was. Obviously, it's a big social experiment.
It's supposed to change your life, though.
And to change your life. That's what, yeah. And so the guy who fucking did it, he got the fucking thing, he got the video, which was like a 10-15 minute long video, which is ridiculously asinine. And he basically says like, yeah, you'll get a cut of like our next game, Goddess. That's what Peter said to the winner. And he never got it. He never gave the guy the money. Like, he's never received it. And it's like, bro, like, come on. And then Goddess wasn't even, like, Goddess was basically like a modern reinvention of black and white in many ways, just not as harsh and stuff and more casualized and kid-friendly. And it just wasn't it. So, yeah. So then he's come out and he's doing another kind of city builder god game again for the third time, seemingly so. If you don't count Spore, Masters of Albion. And I gotta be honest, like this game just kind of looks fine. Like it looks all right. Like the building side of it and the chemistry stuff where you're mixing like weapons up and making anything as you go looks all right. But the actual combat, like, you know, when he took over the end, like the character and he like fucking he was like whacking those skeletons. It like, dude, that looks really bad. Like, why are you showing that?
I don't know. I feel like they've figured out that they can, like, he can have some developers make a game and then he can put his name behind it, and just because he's known, it'll sell enough to make it like worth doing.
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like these games need to be made.
He's the strangest guy because, like, on the surface, I think he's a really nice person. I just think he gets lost in his own source in many ways.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how. Like I know the fan favorite's Fable 2, but for me it's Fable 1. I just don't know how he made those games.
I've always thought the fan favorite was 1.
I mean, I would love to believe that, but I feel like everywhere I go, everything I listen to, every time everyone's just like Fable 2 is the best. Fable 2 is the best. So
yeah, maybe so. I don't know, but
I don't know. Moving forward,
moving on. Yeah.
We have Squid Game Unleashed. Squid Game continues to be bastardized despite all the anti-capitalist views. It is getting made into a mobile game for the Netflix app. No interest. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The only thing that sounds less interesting than a mobile game is a mobile game within the Netflix app. Gotta be real with you here.
Yeah, it's kind of falling in on itself in many ways. This whole thing. Yeah. This is weird. Platformer, looks like Fall Guys in many ways. It also doesn't have any of the style of what seemingly Squid Game was, with how violent it was. So yeah, weird. Crap. No, not fun.
Bad. Moving on. Unknown 9 Awakening. Hey, that's
Yennefer.
What's her name? Yennefer. I love the Witcher TV show.
Anya Chalotra, I think her name is. I think.
Yeah. Bandai Namco published an action-adventure game Unknown 9 Awakening, received a new trailer that showcased DLC packs available alongside pre-order. It will launch October 18th. What do you think of this, Joe?
I mean, it's got like a Dishonored steampunky Wolfenstein vibe about it. But aside from that, doesn't really tell me a whole lot. It's just kind of
doesn't.
like,
it kind of looks like a game I'd have fun playing, but it also doesn't look like a game that's going to be good.
Yeah, it looks like a perfectly serviceable 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Play this game because the Witcher lady's in it.
Yeah,
like, that's what it feels like.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Okay, not bad, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, Arena Breakout Infinite. Next, we get a look at the squad-based shooter Arena Breakout Infinite. Do you know anything about this one, Joe?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, I got nothing to say on this one.
You got nothing. Yeah. It's kind of it looks like it's trying to take over and have a little piece of Tarkov's pie.
Who's gonna be the Tarkov to bring that series into the stratosphere? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Tarkov is big, but it's not Fortnite or Apex big. So
I don't think I don't think it's ever gonna happen, because the pure nature of Escape from Tarkov is that it appeals to a very, very select few people who want the most minute gameplay elements ever to be asininely detailed. Like, the reason why Fortnite is so good is because it's so adaptable and it's so hyper casualized in the areas that matter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it appeals to such a broad spectrum. But I don't know. Maybe that other game, that Delta Ops game, maybe can bring the. I mean, the problem with Tarkov is that it's only on one platform, right? That's the biggest problem. Like, it's only on PC. You need to get on consoles really to diverse your market share. But yeah, this looks actually really good. I think this looks really good from this trailer. I've not really seen any more gameplay on it. I've just heard about it, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it's like.
Okay. Cool. We have the Blizzard Minute. Oh, okay. That's just what Kotaku called it. While I was waiting for my screen to load. This is the Diablo Vessel of Hatred Mercenaries reveal trailer. So Blizzard took the stage to talk about the upcoming projects. Overwatch 2 is getting the Warcraft crossover. Blizzard has brought out a new trailer for Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, spotlighting the NPC mercenary companions being introduced in the expansion. You know, Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I love Diablo 1. Didn't like Diablo 3. Have never really played Diablo 4. I'm not really interested in playing Diablo 4. But 4 looks good. And I will say, every Diablo has always been vastly improved by its expansions.
Sure.
So this is probably going to, I would say, prepare yourselves to see articles about how Diablo 4 is better than ever. Diablo 4 is back. This is the time to play Diablo 4, and it's all because of this expansion. Because it feels like when a Diablo game comes out, they just get it out as like a base, and then they don't really fully grasp how the game should be played or what the meta is or what direction to take it until the expansions come along. So
right, yeah,
this will probably be dope. It's probably cool.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games to me. I mean, these. So if I was to play any ARPG dungeon crawler, it would be Diablo 4 now. Every time I look at gameplay of this, I'm like, that looks really fucking dope. I want to jump in. Yeah. But then there's also like the sensible part of me that's like, Joe, you've already got enough games to play, and two, I know as soon as you pick this game up and you play it, you ain't gonna play it. You're gonna drop it like immediately because it's just not your kind of game. But every time I look at the trailers, the way they market it, the way they show the gameplay off, the particle effects, the graphics, the combat, it just looks so cool. But then I just know, like I have to fight against my sort of impulsivity. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, totally. I mean, that's the thing is like pretty much all you do in these games is just click. But everything that's going on the screen is so interesting that it's just fun. You know? So, cool. And it's getting the loot and stuff, of course, is a big part of it. Next, we have the first Berserker Kazan. I think we've seen this before at some point.
Yeah.
The action-packed trailer for the first Berserker Kazan. The game will launch in early 2025 with a beta test from October 11th. So what? Okay, I'm looking at this. What kind of video game is this here? I'm looking at the trailer.
It kind of looks like just a hack and slash.
Looks a little Soulsy.
Yeah, Soulsy. Yeah.
I like the art style a lot. Actually, I think it looks really cool.
They like red, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not something I'll play, but I do like the art style. The gameplay looks fun too.
Oh yeah.
So
very cool.
The names are getting really crazy in the game industry. Like what is it? Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess.
Yeah.
And then like the first Berserker Kazan. Then you have like a Legend of Zao. Legends of Kinzara Zao. It's like just a lot. You know,
it's like they just put the shit. It's like when you make a Skyrim character and you put your name into a random generator.
Yeah.
That's the shit what's happening right now.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. Totally. Just find a way to stand out, I guess.
Yeah.
Next is, we'll skip over that. It's just Xbox exclusive. Not that I care about it anyways.
It's a Civilization copy.
I don't even care about, man, this game, I have negative interest in this Dark and Darker mobile.
Yeah, it's a first-person dungeon crawler extraction game, like Tarkov.
For mobile. Nah.
Yeah.
We'll skip that. We'll go over that one.
Floatopia
from NetEase. No, this is bad, Jeff. Bring us back. We're moving forward. Okay, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We're going to hold off till that's because we're going to go into a whole spiel on that one. We have plenty to say on that one, but we'll come back to it. What do we got here? Mafia: The Old Country. So I know a lot of fans. Mafia has a decent fan base out there. To me, they've never looked interesting. But Joe, you're saying you're a fan. Was Mafia 1 through 3? Did you enjoy all of them? And how are you feeling about Mafia: The Old Country from Hangar 13?
Mafia 1, for me, I never really played much of because it was quite outdated by the time I got into it. But I did somewhat enjoy it, but I played immediately Mafia 2, so that was my shit. Loved it. Loved Vito Scaletta's story. Absolutely loved every part of that game. It's one of those games where Mafia is a strange game in that it's an open world, but there's really nothing to do in the open world. It's like there's a bunch of clothes shops, there's a bunch of car places, but there's not really any like side quests on the map. It's just kind of like you're in this city and you've got main quests to travel around it, you know. But yeah, and then I played Mafia 3, which was basically just like the other way. It was like all the main story was you had to do side quests really to do the main story. It was really repetitive and really buggy and just not good, and Hangar 13 ain't it. And so Mafia: The Old Country. Yeah, I mean, this trailer really doesn't show much. This one seemingly is in Italy, which is unique and interesting and cool. But because it's not seemingly, it's like all not in engine and it's all like CGI cutscene, like this doesn't really tell me anything, you know? So, but I'm kind of nervous because Hangar 13 fucked up Mafia 3. So are they going to fuck this one up as well, you know?
Are they the ones that made Mafia 1 and 2?
As far as I'm aware, no. They helped, I think, but I don't think they were the main studio.
Okay, well, you're passively interested in waiting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, Mafia 2 is 2K check. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it lands.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it, Joe, for opening the Night Games Night Live. We didn't watch it, obviously, but we just went through all the announcements. We have more to say about Indiana Jones later in the podcast here. But what would you say, going off of what we read off? What would you give that out of 10, Joe? I mean, and tell me what you give it out of 10, and what one big standout for you was. And if there is no big standout, pick the closest thing.
The big standout is not a game. It's the what's it called? Secret Level.
Secret Level. Yeah, you were excited about that.
Yeah, the TV show. I was kind of skeptical when I heard about it, but when I went and watched the trailer for it, I was like, this looks actually really good. So for the first time ever, it's not. That's like me saying like the Last of Us show is more interesting than the Last of Us game right now, but that's the case. It's more interesting to me. It looks really cool. It looks like everything I've wanted from like a live action adaptation of. Well, not live action adaptation, animated adaptation of our game worlds, our favorite game franchises. Yeah. So that's. But then, what would I give it? Like,
because I'm telling you right now,
6. Like, I don't know. Like
6 is where I'm at. Because I'm actually I would rate it on a scale of like what to expect from Gamescom Opening Night Live. Like, my expectations would be lower.
Yeah.
So I'd say this is a 6. But like, if this was literally like Game Awards, or SGF, I would be like, this is like a 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah. It's poor, very poor.
Yep.
But yeah.
Glad we didn't spend the time on that. But I think the standout for me, I know the standout for me is Indiana Jones, and that's for multiple reasons that we'll get to later. But so that's Gamescom Opening Night Live. I'm going to take us over to our next topic, which is kind of multifaceted. So I'll probably be talking for just a little bit longer than you guys might like before I pass over to Joe. But I want to go through a couple things to kind of set up the pitch for this so we can talk about it. So a game we knew has been coming all year, that there's been some interest around. I wouldn't say it's been like extremely hyped, but it hasn't been forgotten either. People have been looking out for it. It's called Black Myth Wukong. Not to discredit it by saying it's a Soulsy game, because it's not a Soulsy game. It's a Soulsy game. It's very different, and it's got its own style and stuff. But it's definitely influenced by Souls. You can see how its fixation on bosses and the health bar and the camps and the combat. You see a lot of that. So kind of influenced in the way maybe like a Stellar Blade was, where Stellar Blade's like quite a bit different, but it's still influenced. Couple things I wanted to talk about in regards to Black Myth Wukong. I did want to touch on the review scores and how it's being perceived, but I think what's even more interesting is I'm going to read 2 things here. First, this comes from the Steam database info. Black Myth Wukong hit over 2.2 million concurrent players on Steam, beating Cyberpunk, beating Elden Ring.
Holy shit.
Being this absolute behemoth. And this is only Steam. This isn't consoles or anything like that. And at first, my immediate reaction was, I don't understand. Like, I don't.
Yeah, they botting it.
Like, I was like, at first, I was like, I don't get it. Like, what? This game wasn't even that highly anticipated. And then I realized,
I have only heard small things about this game, dude. Like, straight up.
Yeah, exactly. And then I realized, well, I didn't really realize it. I more or less read up on it and found out that this is a Chinese studio, and this is a Chinese game that's based on Journey to the West. I think that's how you say it, Journey to the West.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be like Journey to the East or something like that.
Yeah.
Journey to the West. And basically in China, they're mostly gaming on mobile. Sure. But to play this, you either need to have a very beefy PC rig or you need to have a console. And a lot of people are running out and buying consoles for this. And a lot of the players for this are from China. So this is really just like huge cultural influence in China. This is a game that they're celebrating over there. That's where a lot of the player numbers are coming from. It's also where, and this takes me to my other facet to this whole conversation, is over at nicopartners.com. It says the journey to success, Black Myth Wukong beats records on day one. While the consoles have historically remained niche in China, despite the overturning of the console ban in 2014, the PlayStation 5 is selling 2 times faster than its predecessor in the country and has become an established platform alongside the Nintendo Switch. A limited time deal on the PlayStation 5 that is running this week has led to a surge in sales for the console that further cements these changing gamer preferences in the market. So basically, Black Myth Wukong has been such a huge ordeal in China that it is leading to massive sales of the PlayStation 5 console this week as people go out and say, I don't have a PC that can play this. I'm usually playing mobile. This is non-mobile. I'm buying a PS5 to play Black Myth Wukong. So I think that's very neat as well. So you're seeing huge numbers. You're seeing like China really getting on the board in the gaming industry. You're seeing PlayStation 5s fly off the shelf for this. And I'm going to touch on a couple of the reviews. So we have, I'm just going to go kind of to the bottom line, what they say at the bottom, kind of their scores. IGN says, the studio is called Game Science. It says, as Game Science's debut action game, Black Myth Wukong is mostly a great success despite some major technical black marks and localization issues that are likely to cause some frustrations at launch. It's funny they mentioned that. I saw somebody who was playing the game and like the dialogue was in English one line and then the next line was Chinese and it was back to English again.
Oh, wow.
Very different. Very interesting bug. Combat is fantastic thanks to a great balance of careful resource management and lightning fast twitch reaction gameplay that tested my skills as much as Elden Ring ever has, despite being a more traditional action game than From Software style. Not only that, but there are a ton of exciting boss battles, a great variety of enemies, and the world they inhabit is an absolute treat for the eyes and ears. I've heard people say this is one of, if not the best looking video game ever right now, Joe.
Wow.
Its story has its moments, but relies a bit too much on having prior knowledge of the events of Journey to the West. And it really could have used a map to make its rewarding exploration measure up to the strength of its combat. That said, its strengths more than enough to carry it through, making Black Myth Wukong a great action game that could be even greater if Game Science can squash the bugs. They give it an 8 out of 10. Something else I heard, Joe, that really put me off, this is a great review, but something I heard that put me off, Andy Cortez over at Kind of Funny said that that one of the bosses he fought, you know, like a lot of times when you play like From Software games, you like run in and you want to kind of get in, like maybe like if it's a giant enemy, like maybe between their legs, kind of get up against their torso and kind of just like go crazy on from the inside.
Find a weak, like a kind of exploitative spot in many ways. Yeah.
Apparently at least one boss, if not several, in Black Myth Wukong, they have put invisible walls there on the boss. So that you can only attack them in specific areas like older games, like PS2, PS3, maybe like era. That to me sounds kind of awful, but it didn't sound like it was everything. It just like this particular boss. I'm like kind of hate that, but that's interesting for sure. Another review here from PC Gamer. They give it an 87. Let me see if I can get like kind of like a final verdict here.
Yep.
It says, Wukong is one of the most joyful action RPGs I've played simply for how lovingly it treats its world and characters, and by extension, how much it clearly wants me to love them too. It worked. Punchy combat aside, I wanted to keep working through each area to meet another weird little creature with a mysterious quest, or to get jumped by another animal who learned MMA. In a pool of games about fallen kings and sad dragons, it's delightful to play an action game that isn't obsessed with being dour, and where the best solution to the most grueling fights is in use is to use as many fun abilities as you can. In a year with the tremendous Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, I never thought I'd play a game that veers in such a wildly different direction but manages to reach familiar highs, even if it lacks the sheer scale and build complexity as From Software's masterpiece. Wukong is its own beast, and if it has to be labeled a Souls-like, then I think we're going to have to come up with a new definition. There's nothing else quite like it. So I've heard that the combat plays very like you're doing a lot of like acrobatics, kind of like moving around
I'm watching
a lot.
it now. Yeah,
and you're I've heard that like your weapon doesn't do the kind of damage you would expect. Like when you play like Souls, like it does a lot of damage when you hit an enemy, where apparently it doesn't do much here. It like relies on like your abilities more to do damage.
Right.
And I've heard that the skill tree in this game is like super huge with multiple paths, where it's kind of cool in the sense there's so many options, but it's also kind of like detrimental because it's like, man, where do I even begin? And like, how do I need to spec this boss and whatnot? But going to one last review here, this comes from Polygon. Black Myth Wukong is an epic saga that's both confounding and spectacular to behold. Scroll down to the bottom here, get their verdict and score. I actually don't see, do they have score still? I don't see a score on here anymore.
No, I don't think they do.
Okay, well, just their verdict then, that'll be fine. It says, all in all, Black Myth Wukong is an astounding triumph, one that blends a story celebrating Chinese and other East Asian cultures with an original retelling that has resonant themes, all complemented by spectacular design and exhilarating combat. While the narrative is confusing at first, as I can personally attest to, it nonetheless encourages you to embrace that sense of strangeness and wonder as you venture into distant lands, much like a certain journey written centuries ago that stood the test of time. So all in all, we have all three reviews were positive here, around the 80s, mid 80s. Like I said, it's selling PlayStations like crazy. It's got like incredibly high Steam concurrent numbers. Looks like a success all around. It does look like something that I would be interested in playing, but some of the things I've heard about it too also give me pause. In a world where I only have such limited time and there's so many good games, I don't see myself buying this, but it is something I could be interested in revisiting in the future when I have more downtime or it's on a sale. It's not that I don't feel like it's worth my full price now. I just, like I said, I just don't necessarily know if I have the time. It would probably make me want to research into Journey of the West. I'd probably want to like read and watch stuff about that if I played this game. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. I think the Monkey Man protagonist looks a little weird to me. I don't know if it's my style, but I don't know. I would say I'm more interested than not on this game, but I don't know. I guess the short of it, Joe, is I think it looks cool. What do you think about the game? Are you interested in it? Would you play it? And how do you feel about its like influence in China and selling consoles and shit?
So this like bleeds, to me, this seemingly bleeds more into like the hack and slash more than it does Souls.
Yeah,
you know, anything where you walk into a boss arena now seemingly is a Souls game, which is kind of lame. But like I was watching the gameplay when you were talking there, and one of the things that is common that I was noticing was you were constantly, you know, like statusing, like freezing like bosses or enemies. You were slowing them down. You were, you know, buffing yourself, like you said, to increase your damage and stuff like that. And there's like a charge bar on the bottom right, kind of very similar to hack and slash games with a gauge and stuff, you know, which is not really common in FromSoft games at all. You know, like it just has more elements of those. It's just that it seemingly has level designs and environmental structures that look closer to a FromSoft game or a Souls game than, like, say, a God of War does or whatever, right? But it's weird, right? Because like this game is huge right now, like absolutely fucking huge. Like, and just looking at the Steam charts, it's like there's 887,000 people playing right now, like you said, with a 2.4 million 24-hour peak, which is insane. Yep. And like I heard about Black Myth Wukong coming out for a long period of time. You know, like I was like, oh yeah, there's like this Souls-like game that's coming out, and it looks cool, and it's based like in China, like it's from a Chinese company, and it's, you know, kind of like the company that does it is like ex-developers of Tencent and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, like get your money, get your bag, do your thing, you know, but I don't expect it to do anything like I never expected it to do anything like this. And then it comes out and it does this. And what's weird about it is like ultimately the game is, I mean, it's good, it's great, it's an 8 out of 10, clearly, like it's a fun time, but it's not an Elden Ring, it's not a God of War, it's not a Horizon in many ways, like a 9 out of 10 game, a Last of Us, but it's doing way more than it. And it's one of those things where like, this is a Chinese. What's strange to me is it's a Chinese developer that is developing a game for obviously the entire world globally. But if there was like a console ban in 2014 within China, and there's like really stringent like sort of censorship rules related to the CCP and all that governmental body stuff in China, it's fascinating that a Chinese development studio would make a game like this with this scale that wasn't really aimed at, like, it was aimed at Chinese people, obviously, but at the same time, it feels like it had more outward reach, but it's kind of inflected and come back on itself. And that's kind of done wonders for them because of it. Mm-hmm. That's just a very strange success story that I would have never predicted to happen ever.
I feel like we've had a lot of like shocking success stories this year, Joe. I remember the year kicked off with Power World. It came out of nowhere and like huge. And then Helldivers was the sensation. And now Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah. 2024 is a strange year for games. And I think probably one of the reasons is because as this industry is becoming more self-cannibalizing, as it's becoming more sort of like pressured with bottom lines and getting, the 10s and 20 million copies, we talk about Square Enix and stuff like that and reorganizing their studios. I think what you're starting to see is that surprisingly, people are seemingly taking more risks with lower based titles. Like you just listed 3 there. Lower budget titles that seemingly catapult into the stratosphere on that very thing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's odd, right? Like that's just very strange to me. The thing that does kind of worry me though is like, we were talking about it a little bit before we started recording, is that, you were saying like China can, I mean, it's true. Like China has the potential to completely change the industry just by the amount of people in that country. And the only issue I have with China getting more involved with this stuff is their censorship rules. Like their censorship for their games is built within their governmental bodies. The NRTA, which is the National Radio and Television Administration over in China, and they are linked to the state. Their former name was State Administration of Radio, Film, and Television. And the problem is you get things like China's like ban on more feminine characters, whether it's like gay people or, like we were talking about intersex in the last episode and stuff like that. Like those people ain't going to be represented and shown, which they are important to be shown in these games. Like it's important for that. It's important for an artist to have creativity. So I worry that like with a wave of people coming into it like this, and I'm not saying Chinese people shouldn't be allowed to game because they definitely should be, but I'm more taking issue with the governmental body of these particular people, that China will start to see the power of console gaming in the Western market and be like, well, I think we need to start enforcing our fucking regulations on your shit. And then you start to get influence into the ESRB. You start to get influence into the PEGI rating system in Europe. And it's like, fuck, we can't put this shit in our games because of China, and we can't ship that because of China. And then the devs have a difficult decision to make because they have to prioritize the masses of Chinese people, because there'll always be more people in China to want to game stuff like this than, say, in the UK. What do we do? What do we prioritize? Now, I guess the only thing to push back on that is like, when like Bully came out and Australia was kind of like we can't have that. We're not having that game. It's not happening. That's probably the most likely situation that'll happen. Like if a game comes out and it's like really like showing like LGBTQ stuff, and it's really showing like really like raw themes that that governmental body doesn't want in China, they'll probably just not let it come into the country at all, period. So that's the most likely option. But I just always err on the side of caution and the worst case scenario in that, is this really going to potentially impact us retroactively? Like will the penny flip? Will the gun flip around? So yeah, scary.
Yeah, that's really well said, Joe. And I think this game shows that if China wants to really play in the with the big boys in the games industry,
yeah,
they can, and we can't stop them. Like if they want to, they can. So is this the beginning of like what could end up being a big culture shift change for not only them, but for the industry as China gets more involved, and if you think about it too, like, I don't even know if this is worth tying it in, but like we also got Stellar Blade and Lies of P both from South Korea. And so it kind of feels like maybe we're starting to get like a lot more influence just from countries that didn't have that influence before, because like now Liza P and Stellar Blade, that's two I mean, they're not as big as Elden Ring as far as notoriety, but like a lot of gamers know what Stellar Blade or Lies of P are. Like they're certainly in the grand scheme of video games, they're pretty well known, and that's like those are South Korean devs, and now everyone's going to know Black Myth Wukong, and that's a Chinese dev. So like even just the name for development studio Game Science, like to me that sounds like you and me decided to make a Unity game and we called ourselves Game Science. Like that's such a generic ass studio name, you know?
Yes. It's wild. It's just wild, like how much this has exploded, you know, and it's all because of the cultural influence that this game is taking from, you know, with the Chinese journey to the West. So, here's the thing, like I think ultimately this is cool. I'm not gonna like sort of sound the early warning. I'm not gonna like Boy Who Cried Wolf this shit where I'm like, oh, this is clearly bad signs for the industry because a Chinese game has like popped off, or it's all gonna go bad. Like I'm not gonna start like they're in the trees, bro. Like, you know, it's like I'm not gonna go that far. Like I'm not gonna go like kind of end of the world doom and glooming, you know. But I think it is important to just watch this as it develops. And I mean, like obviously we don't have any hand in it, but it's one of those things where like we should all just kind of like watch it with like a magnifying glass and be like, these games are cool as long as like they ain't affecting our shit. You know what I'm saying? Like leave like there's no world where I want my God of War censored because of China. No, leave it. Stop it. Stay over there. Have your games. Have our games, but just chill. Like it ain't that deep.
Totally.
So
This is a game that I really wish like. When there's a game I want to play, but I'm not committed to getting it right now, like Black Myth, like I wish I had a close friend who was playing it. Like I wish you or you know, Darren or Wes or just a bunch of people, anybody just if I could just kind of pop in and see what their thoughts are on it and kind of have that second experience.
Wes said to me, like, you should try Wukong because it's kind of like God of War in that, like the new God of Wars, and it's hack and slashy and it's not as.
I have heard a couple people compare some God of War stuff with it, which is surprising. So
yeah, I mean, I look at it and I don't see it, but like maybe once you play it, you do.
And they're talking about early God of War, I believe.
Maybe, yeah, more action. Okay, cool.
But very cool. I'm interested to hear about more successes for Black Myth Wukong.
Indeed.
Okay, so going over to our last story, and I'll kind of be the talker again here, and then I'll pass over to Joe like before. Lots to say about this one. I know we could go around on topics we've went around on before, but you know, at the beginning of the year, it was big bad PR blunder for Xbox because rumors had leaked that Xbox exclusives were going to be coming over to PlayStation and Nintendo.
Yeah,
everyone lost their minds, and Xbox came out and said, we're going to have a podcast in a couple weeks or like a week or whatever. And we'll tell you what's going on, which is kind of weird because it was like, we're not going to address anything right now. And then when we do, we're going to do it through a podcast. Okay. Yeah. And then they come out and they're like, basically, we're just going to release these 4 smaller games that, you know, need to find more players like Sea of Thieves and Pentiment and Grounded and Hi-Fi Rush. We just need to get these copies out to more people. They're coming over.
Not to interrupt you, but it was also weird because this video wasn't actually like normally they broadcast this shit, right, to a live audience, and obviously then that gets turned into a video on YouTube after, and you can read the live chat.
This was pre-recorded.
This was pre-recorded, and it was almost like they were terrified when they did this. Like Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer was like,
they were like, we got to walk a very fine, delicate balance here. But they were basically like, it's just these 4 small games that you guys have already played, and that's it. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. But then as soon as that was over, a bunch more industry insiders came out and said, what we've heard is like, no, all of that shit was true. This is just them doing a slow rollout of like getting people accustomed to them basically being third party. Yeah. And we've finally seen the first instance of this in a major way, where we had the like a new gameplay and a release date reveal for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is supposed to be one of the big Xbox exclusives finally coming out this year. And the show ends. So we can talk more about this too. Like I think the game looks really awesome. Like I cannot wait to play this.
I agree.
It just looks like a really high quality Machine Games, you know, Indiana Jones license. Like I'm going to be all over this and have a great time. Like I have no doubts about the quality of this game. I'm excited for it. I am going to get it. But they end it by saying, like the punching and the first person and like
I love the
light
sound effects to it, like how they're leaning into that 80s, like
and you got the lighter in the cavern that's all dark and shit. Like, I love it. It looks awesome. And then they end it with like
choo choo,
with choo choo. Yeah. They give the release date at the end, December 9th, 2024. A lot of people thought, hey, maybe if this comes out this year, if it makes it this year, it's probably going to be December. That was true. December 9th, 2024. It says Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series S and X, Steam. And then there's like a one more thing stinger after that. And it pops up and it says coming to PS5, spring 2025. Confirming that this is the next big title from Xbox that is not going to be exclusive. It's going to make its way to PlayStation. And while I think this further cements the fact that everyone needs to get their big boy pants on and realize nothing on Xbox is sacred, it's all coming to PlayStation and other platforms in time. Wait till all hail the conquering hero.
Can you smell that, Brian? You know what that is?
Xbox tears.
That's gourmet, baby.
It's funny because your analogs looked like eyes when you had it up to your head. That's funny. Yeah, little eyes. And then once the Switch 2 comes out, who knows? I mean, lots of Xbox stuff could be coming over to that as well, which has more power. But yeah, so this pretty much opens up the floodgates of like, anything can come. It's all probably coming in time. I think Starfield is going to have some kind of complete edition in a year or so, maybe a little bit longer. It's going to come to PlayStation. But yeah, it just has everyone wondering what the full plan is for Xbox. Because it seems to me the only plan that makes any sense based on their actions is they become the biggest third-party publisher in the world. But despite that being what makes the most sense, they're still peddling consoles. There's new consoles, new SKUs of the console coming out in a few months. They're marketing Game Pass, but they're also like, there was like an article I don't think we covered, like where they're going to like market Call of Duty on Game Pass purposely less to like influence the sales of it more. You know, where it almost feels like they don't want it to be on Game Pass, but they committed to it. You know, they're talking about the Amazon Fire Stick and how you don't need to buy our console and it can be cloud streamed. You're seeing their games come to other platforms. It very much feels like they are going the direction of a major third-party publisher, but they have their toes dipped in like 3 different pools and they're not willing to fully commit to one yet. Where it, like, they've also like came out and directly said this year that there will be next generation Xbox consoles and they're going to be the most powerful ever. And it's like, it almost feels like, wouldn't it just make more sense if you guys just like didn't spend all that money and just didn't put out another console and just became the biggest third-party publisher? You can still have Game Pass and you can still have your game studios, but like it's begging the question of what is the point of Xbox? Why should anybody invest there? And this isn't me being like a total fanboy. I'm dead serious. When I saw this trailer, I went, wait a minute. So it's going to be a max of 3.5 months until I can play Indiana Jones on PlayStation. They just saved, they're going to get the money either way, of course, but they just saved $70 for me this year. I'm not buying Indiana. I don't do Game Pass, and I'm not going to buy Indiana Jones on Xbox because that's not my preferred platform. And I don't have much faith in the future of their ecosystem. Like, I believe their ecosystem will exist, but like, will it become a Game Pass cloud oriented thing more? Like, so I'm just going to wait 3.5 months and buy this on PlayStation. And I know they're getting my money, so I know it's not like, you know, boohoo Microsoft, but it's like, I don't understand. I haven't understood what Microsoft's been doing in years. And even at this point, now I don't understand if they want to go full third-party publisher. I don't know if they want to have some real exclusivity and an actual like identity to the Xbox platform. I don't know, but like, I don't understand why would you do a one more thing coming to PS5 in like 3 months? Because to me, it's like, do you want your stinger to be that like, oh, hey, you know, the big exclusive you guys got on the platform you love? Yeah, it's just a 3-month timed window. Like, PlayStation has bigger timed windows on shit. They never were planning to have exclusive. So I don't know what this does for anyone. Like, you might as well have just said that it was on PlayStation 5 at the same time and then just launched it, like announced it the same time as Xbox. I don't get this, but I know I'm waiting and getting it on the PlayStation. So Joe, what do you think of? Well, actually, before we get your thoughts, Joe, I said I was going to talk a lot. Let me read this too, because this is part of the story. It's all going to tie in. So Phil Spencer was speaking to Video Games Chronicle, and it had some telling things about the future of where the brand's going and what they're doing. Speaking during an Xbox podcast, well, I'll skip past that. We already covered that. The whole Xbox podcast earlier this year, there's only going to be 4 games. Moving forward, talking on VGC, Phil Spencer says, what I see when I look is that our franchises are getting stronger. Our Xbox console players this year are as high as they've ever been. So I look at it and I say our player numbers are going up for the console platform. Our franchises are as strong as they've ever been, and we run a business. He added, it's definitely true inside of Microsoft that the bar is high for us in terms of delivery that we have to give back to the company, because we get a level of support from the company that is just amazing in terms of what we're able to go do. That's a huge thing right there, because he's basically saying, like, yeah, everyone said that, like, Satya has come in and said, like, we need profits to turn at Xbox. We need you to give back to Microsoft. That's essentially exactly what Phil Spencer said here in just nicer words. I think it's also funny that he mentions, like, our console players are doing, like, better than ever, where it's like, bro, I don't see how your games are going other places. You got Game Pass, and consoles we know are like at historic lows for sales for Xbox. But he goes on and says, so I look at this. How can we make our games as strong as possible and ensure that our platform continues to grow both on console, PC, and cloud? And I think it's just going to be a strategy that works for us. In concluding, Spencer mentioned the pressure facing the games industry, which has been thousands of job losses over the past 18 months, many including Microsoft, and claimed that traditional ways of distributing games would continue to change. Okay, I sent a lot of bullshit there, because there is no way you ensure the strength and health of your console by making everything that comes out on it playable elsewhere. I get that you wrap that into like we want to ensure the health of PC and Game Pass and console and cloud. That's true for everything there, except I can believe you have strong health as an ecosystem, as a publisher, not as an ecosystem, as a publisher, as a company that puts games on all these platforms. I get that, but that is completely opposite of what that will do to your platform. It will make your platform seem pointless to everyone. If they have a freaking PC, PS5, or a fucking Amazon Fire Stick, you don't need to buy an Xbox. Did my Angry Joe face there for a minute? Like, what the fuck? You don't need it at all. And then he loves to keep mentioning in all these different interviews the mounting pressure of the industry and the historic job losses. Okay, Sony and Nintendo, profitability-wise, console-wise, they're doing better than ever. So this issue only affects you. And while they've also had layoffs, some of the worst layoffs are from you, Microsoft. Like, just your One Japan studio doing Hi-Fi Rush. You just piss and shit that away. You just like, it really seems to me like Microsoft is addressing a problem that is going to exist and slightly exists in the industry now, and will continue to increase in its awareness as the years come on. Like, it's obvious that like there is something going on here where like the player base of gamers as a whole isn't growing fast enough, and games are being more expensive. You see Sony putting their games on PC. You see people getting more involved in mobile and live service. I think when Microsoft is referencing the changing industry, they're not lying, but the way they're trying to drum it up and associate it with the things they're doing is them trying to make an issue that's really over 5 years, probably extremely closer to 10 years away. And they're trying to make it seem like an imminent thing now, and they're looping their own failures into it, when in reality, it's just them failing. So, game looks good. I'm going to buy it on PS5. Everything is clearly coming off of Xbox that they feel they can make money on elsewhere in time. I think Microsoft talks out there. I think Phil was talking out his ass before Satya got involved, but now that he's involved, it's pretty much like they got their hand up his butt. He's a puppet, and it's like, you make money for our company or you're done. You're done. Yeah. So yeah. I am just continually as sick of Xbox as I've ever been. I'm not buying games on your platform unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Joe, I talked a lot. Take it away.
Can we all just like everyone listen to this or watch this right now? Can we get a round of applause for Brian? That was like the best fucking rant on Xbox I've ever heard. Straight
I appreciate
up.
that, man. I didn't know if I was going anywhere.
To Colin Moriarty. Like, let's be honest, that was fucking badass. Yeah, you took all the words out of my mouth. I am sick to death of this. I just sit and smile now. Like, I can't really add to that in any ways because you covered every ground, which is amazing. But like, I just sit here and I'm like, you guys are the most oversharing company ever when it comes to this shit. Like, you're like, oh, this is happening, that's happening. Yeah. Oh, like we're not hitting deadlines. We've got the most fucking customers and gamers on our platform, and like talking about all
Microsoft
the metrics.
Wants us to make more money.
And it's like, bro, like, but you won't tell us like what the fucking problem is. Like, you can't just be honest about the one thing that actually matters and address the issue with everyone, so we can kind of get behind you and like push you up and like sort you out. I understand, like, from a PR standpoint, like as a business, you got to keep things hush hush, and it really doesn't help anything. But you are perpetually staying dead last because you choose to stay dead last, because you won't make the hardcore short-term like fucking moves to justify a long-term fucking success. And I'm not talking about survival. What they're doing right now, this is survival. They're on survival mode. Phil Spencer's era of I'm going to save this shit with a service model that doesn't fund our games, doesn't fund our fucking studios, and has nothing going back into the industry. It died. It's done. There's nothing left for that because Microsoft have come in and gone, bro, we are way behind. We're way behind on the fucking sheets right now. We're in the red when it comes to Xbox. We have nothing left for you because you're not making a margin in any way by buying all these titles and putting them on Game Pass. I have nothing else to add to what you said because it was fucking perfect. I think that it's an absolute shame that Xbox are, like I said, staying dead last, not moving at all, not pivoting where it needs to happen, and ultimately, like, they just feel like they're fucking around their player base. Like, it's like they're blowing smoke up their player base's arse because all they're ultimately doing is like saying, oh yeah, but we've got like 28 million of you or whatever the fuck they say, and it's like, but that doesn't mean anything because I can go over there and buy Indiana Jones and play it on the console that has other games as well. Like, I shouldn't have to care about like your numbers or like how much you are like doing well and how much you're supporting your studios. That is your job. And like Phil, Matt Booty, that's your job. Like, do it. I'm there to buy the games that you give me. I'm a consumer. I can be passionate like I am now, me, Joe, right here. But ultimately, it's not my job to care about like how you manage your studios. You're the businessman. You're on the 6 to 7 to 8 figure fucking salaries every year. That is your job to do it. And no matter how much like coming out and saying like, oh yeah, there's thousands of job losses every year and all this shit. Like, and we really got hit hard by the tech industry losses, bro. That is not going to make me change my opinion, and you need to stop with this sob story because no one wants to root for a fucking platform, an ecosystem, a company that is literally sob story pitiful. No one wants to, because all you do is you instill doubt and like a lack of confidence in investing in that platform. Like you said originally, there's no reason for me to invest in Xbox going forward. There's nothing. Whereas like a PlayStation, I always say, like, imagine, I said, I think 2 episodes ago, buy a PS6. Honestly, buy a PS6. The amount of cool shit that will probably be on PS6 alongside the backwards compatibility of all the PlayStation 4 and 5 stuff. And there will be all that like premium shit coming by that point as well on the PlayStation Plus stuff. It's going to be mind-blowing. You're going to have Sony Santa Monica's new fucking game. You're going to have The Last of Us Part 3. You're going to have Ghost of Tsushima 2. What the fuck can I say about the Xbox Series Z that is going to have the equivalency of those 3 titles alone? I can't say shit. I genuinely can't say anything. Like, I can say Fable, I can say Our Worlds 2, I can say all that, but it's like, okay, one, you bought them, so in my opinion, like, you cheated with that shit, and I will always feel like you cheated with that shit. I'm sorry. Like, yes, okay, you have those games, cool, but they have been announced for years now, Microsoft, and we have been waiting for them for years. So what new shit, like Sony ain't perfect, but at least Sony keep coming out and going, right, like this year we're going to have a transitionary period. Next year we're going to actually smash it out of the ball. It feels like they have an action plan. There's always a confident, cards close to the chest action plan. With Xbox, it feels like the cards are all on the table, even though everyone else has got their cards close to the chest, and we've only checked once on the poker table. But Microsoft keep going, right, I'm putting out my cards, you can see them all, and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got no fingers. I don't know what's happening. And I'm just tired of it, bro. I am so glad I'm not an Xbox gamer, because I don't understand. Like, in that Resetera post, bro, on the VGC thing that you just last read, there is the first reply that I see under here is, I can't believe this all kicked off pretty much immediately after I bought an Xbox for the first time in like 25 years of gaming. What the fuck?
He needs guy. Do you have the receipt? That's my question.
Take it back and buy PlayStation 5.
Yeah. You actually touched on a lot of things that I didn't mention, Joe. 3 of them, if I can remember them all. You commented on Microsoft always saying too much. It's like, bro, stop. Like, we've been telling you stop. We've been telling you stop. Like, everyone's been telling you to stop for at least a year. Other people probably more. Yep. They just keep talking about everything constantly, and then you talk about their pity party and how it reeks. It reeks even more when you're like the richest company in the world.
Yeah,
so it's like if anyone can afford to take some L's, it's you.
Yeah, you have no excuse.
Then you talk about the other thing you mentioned. I don't know if you mentioned this directly, but you said something that jogged my memory on it. Was they just recently upped the price of Game Pass and made it so that only one tier gives you the day one games, which seems to paint a picture that maybe they're wishing they never had promised that, and they really don't like what this is doing. It's not really making them money, especially if the way they've positioned themselves now, they're going to end up more or less being a third-party publisher. And if you're a third-party publisher, your benefit is to put the game everywhere and get the most copies sold, not offer a subscription service where people can get it for way cheaper. It's just antithetical to the business direction you're taking.
Yes.
So, but they've also like built their whole brand around Game Pass. So it's this really like fucky mixed messaging where they're not benefiting themselves either way. And then their consumers have no idea what they're doing or where they're going.
Yep.
So, and here's the thing too, is like, you know what I wish Microsoft would just say? This is what I would just prefer. I want to make sure I didn't kick my power strip here. You're good. You can still hear me, right, Joe?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I got a little excited, kicked something. I wish they would just come out, and they can put it in better PR words than me, but just come out and just say, here's the deal. You know, we were, and they can even prop themselves a little bit. They can go, we were the leader in the, where's the 360 generation? 9? 7th. I can't keep track of it. 7th. So we were the leader in the 7th generation. We did really a lot of good work on the Xbox 360. But unfortunately, we made some bad judgment calls with the Xbox One and fumbled the launch. And it really took us a lot of time to get back on our feet. And we tried to pivot in multiple ways.
Yep.
But unfortunately, as time went on, the console market fell out from beneath us, and we just weren't able to regain the lost ground. And we're Microsoft, and what do? We look for new ways to reinvent things, and if you're not winning at one strategy, we'll win at another. And we decided we're going to go in and we're going to acquire some of the best studios and games, and we're going to become the biggest gaming publisher in the world, and we're going to shock you and awe you with all of our great games. They're going to be coming to all your platforms. We're going to be a third-party publisher. That's what I wish they would say. They'd just say like, yo, we all know you failed. You fucked up majorly, and you are on this path away from consoles, and you have been for a long time, and that's the way it's going. Just say it. It's like, say what we all know. Like, you know, it's not even that you wanted, it's not like you wanted to fail or you wanted to give up on the console. That's just what happened. And, you know, just kind of say that and say like, hey, but Xbox is still here. We're still a great company, and we can provide this, and that, and this is the direction we're going. And everyone could go, okay, you know what? Maybe I hate you now because I wanted you to be my console boys. Maybe I respect you more because you came forward, or maybe now I'm even a part of your vision. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I love Xbox, and I love Bethesda and Activision, all these games, and I'm ready to see what cool shit you're bringing out all the time. Like, you guys have the best showcases every year because you own half the industry, you know? Like, I'm ready to see that shit. Like, that would be so much cooler to me. I'd be like, okay, yeah. Like, but now at this point, it's like somebody who should have taken an L a long time ago has been refusing to take the L and throwing a pity party for years. Yeah. I think I could give them the most credit I could give them is back before the Series X and Series S came out. I was of the mindset, yeah, they fucked the Xbox One generation beyond repair. Let's start fresh. Let's start over. Yep. Maybe they can come back. And I remember them
Yeah.
like announcing the console at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Who would have thought they would have announced it at the freaking Game Awards? And then you see the console, and you're like, oh yeah, they're not afraid to go for like a PC form factor.
Yeah.
With that Series X. I'm like, okay, they seem kind of confident. Then they had like a little trailer that showed like Halo Infinite and Senua's Saga.
Yeah.
And a couple other games, and I was like, okay, they're kind of bringing it. And then they're kind of bringing it, and then Sony kind of stumbled with their messaging at first.
Yep.
They didn't say whether you could play PS4 games on the PS5.
Yeah.
And then they showed off the controller, and at first glance, people were like, I don't know about that, even though it ends up being an amazing controller. And then the console, like they show off what the console looks like, and it looks like freaking modem or what do you
Dubai Tower,
the Dubai Tower, and like I can actually remember people on Twitter, and of course my Twitter was marketed towards Halo people, so it was Xbox heavy. But I can remember people saying after like some of Sony's initial blunders with like the controller and like does it play PS4 games, people are like, Xbox won this gen. People were saying that. It's like, bro, you have no idea how far away from that they were. But at least in the beginning, I thought like Microsoft can come out with the most powerful hardware, the Game Pass service, some awesome games. They now have Senua's Saga, and they now have Halo Infinite. Looks like it's going to be returned to form for Halo. They bought up a bunch of other. They bought a bunch of other stuff like In Exile and Obsidian, and like, oh yeah, they might cook, and this could be their generation. But you found out pretty quick that stuff started getting delayed. They started announcing games that had barely even started development. Things kept getting fumbled. They tried to acquire everything, and really by 2022, I think 2022 was the year where everyone said this also is not going to be Xbox's generation, because 2022 was the year that all they put out was Pentiment. I think for the whole year.
Yeah. That was the one. That was the year when Phil Spencer was in the crowd at the Game Awards, and it was just kind of like
there was nothing for them.
He was just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, and it was like
there was no announcements, there was no awards, they had
all
no
the
games.
Sony games were like announced as like the nominees and stuff, and it was just like,
yeah, it's like, okay, that's
Phil Spencer's in the crowd. There he is.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think I wish they just. I don't know. Like it makes me. You would think there's such a huge company that they've had a real grounded plan for years.
Sure.
And it's just our perception that it seems like they don't know what they're doing.
I think that every day I sit here when I say this shit about Microsoft, there isn't I'm not so. I don't lack a level of self-introspectivity, guys. Like I don't sit here when I sit and I bag on Microsoft. I go away after and think, like, I don't like. Am I just losing it? Like I always think that. Like am I like. What's going on? But then I talk to other people about it. I talked to my project manager about it, and like he's like, well, "What's the end goal of what Microsoft are doing right now? Like, it just seems like it's fruitless. Like, what's the mid journey? What's the end goal? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like,
it's schizophrenic. You don't know. And the thing is like I said this. I think I said it on our podcast earlier, but at one point I said, well, maybe they're just being smart in that they don't want to do what they did with Xbox One. When the Xbox One was launched, rather than try to do anything steady and like, Connect mandatory in the bundle, DRM, TV.
Yeah.
Instead of like slowly integrating that stuff, and like they just kind of like went, here's the new Xbox, mandatory Connect, high price.
Yeah, they went all in.
Underspect, NFL, TV, all that stuff. And it was such a shock that everyone was just kind of like, what the nobody wanted to buy it, because it was just like, I can't fathom like the levels of things I don't like with this. So initially when they started like kind of buying up these studios and stuff, I was like, well, maybe, or when earlier this year when they had like the 4 games coming over, and it was like, it's just these 4 games, guys. I think I said at one point, whether it was this show or another show, I was like, I think they're just trying to be actually smart and just slowly let people get accustomed to Xbox games and other platforms.
Yeah.
But now, and I think it's fair that I'm doing this, I'm already kind of going to go back on that statement, because the fact of the matter is, with as much as they are pushing don't buy our console, and with as poor as the sales of the consoles are, what would be the negative to ripping the Band-Aid off and saying Microsoft is third-party publisher now? Because what are you going to tell me? That instead of selling 800,000 Xbox units this quarter, they only sold 450? Yeah. I mean, if that's what it takes to just get a clear message, rip the Band-Aid off and say, hey, we're going third party, our games are going to be everywhere now, just do it. Like,
Yeah,
it would make sense if you were like the leading console, like if you were selling like tens of millions of consoles a year, just killing it. You would want to very slowly taper off your audience. But since you're failing so massively, why mishmash and hodgepodge? Just come out and say what you're doing and just rip the Band-Aid off. That's how I feel now.
I think what they should have done is pivoted like completely to an as a tech business model, in the sense that they went like full digital and streaming for the next consoles, right? Like as in the next, like the ones after the ones we've got right now, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember what they were called, but they had like special like fucking project names and shit, right? Like, and they fucking like I can imagine them, instead of like going digital, just go full streaming. Because no doubt, like because of the streaming technology and stuff, and because most of the hardware is like pulled from a server, like in Microsoft's fucking data banks, like you can imagine that the console isn't going to cost as much to manufacture as a Series X, because you don't need the hardware specifications for it. You don't need bigger teraflops. You don't need all this stuff, because it's just coming over. Basically, all you need is a couple of fucking circuit boards and a goddamn fucking Ethernet cable. Like that's all you need, right? Obviously, that's being reductive, but still. Why not just pivot to that? That way, you have your cake and eat it in many ways, where like, yeah, you go like full third party and you can kind of still hold on to like the sort of market share that you do have on Xbox that will keep buying your Xbox consoles. But you don't also lose out on the money in the hardware sales when it comes to like, oh shit, yeah, we take a serious net loss every time someone buys a Series console.
Yeah.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but they're still taking net losses on Xbox consoles when they're bought, right?
I'm pretty sure, and like honestly,
PlayStation's not. PlayStation's crossed that threshold.
They might when they made the slim console and they got things ironed out, maybe. Right. But and the thing is, I mean, I know that just last Christmas, I remember I saw at one point, I saw in my Best Buy there was Series S's were like $199, Series S's, and then the X I've seen down to like $300 at one point, and I'm like, there's no way these things are like, this is just them like doing sales to get people in the ecosystem
so they can sell Game Pass. Like,
but that's the thing that's conflicting. Like, it used to be like, okay, you want to get people in your ecosystem, even if the console doesn't make you money.
Yeah.
But now, since all their games seem to be going to other platforms, it would seem like you don't even need them to go into your ecosystem, right? Like, why sell this bulky, expensive console at a loss to get people in your ecosystem when your ecosystem not only is based around a subscription service that loses you money, but all the games they could play in your ecosystem are on other consoles where you would get the full cut of the sale.
Yeah.
It all doesn't make any sense. It's wild, dude. It's wild.
This is why I sit here and like this is the thing. Like I can see like when you look at PlayStation, it's like, okay, what's their game plan? It's like big blockbuster AAA titles. They tried the live service element. That failed. The consoles themselves selling en masse to recoup the losses on each individual fucking unit. Like, I 100% understand it, with little bits of like peripherals outside of it, potentially, special controllers, bits like that. But ultimately, like, the money comes from these studios, these prestige studios that they either hire or they get a deal with, and they put them on their console, right? Whether it's a second party deal, a first party deal, whatever. But like the thing with it is I can read PlayStation in the sense that it's like, okay, well, if Concord doesn't do well, it's like, oh shit, like we've got a problem, like 100, 200, 300 million. We don't know the budget, but 200, like assumingly so, $200 million Unreal Engine 5 multiplayer game from a prestige, state of the art, brand new acquisition, not good for PlayStation. That's not good for PlayStation. I don't want that for PlayStation. I don't want that for Firewalk. I don't want that for fans of Concord. I don't want that for myself, because I was kind of excited for Concord, right? It's a new game. Ultimately, at least I can read that. At least I can stand there and be like, okay, well, that's not good, but I think like they're going to recoup costs in other ways. Like obviously when Ghost of Tsushima 2 comes out, that's going to make a shit ton of money. When Horizon, like the next Horizon comes out, Horizon 3, because that was on a cliffhanger, like you've told me, like that's going to make a shit ton of money back. Like I can read it. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, the PlayStation 5 Pro, that's no doubt coming at the end of this year to match with GTA 6. It's like, I can totally fucking see that. Like it's getting there. Like I can see the recruitment. But with Xbox, I look at it and I'm like, okay, so you take an L here. you take an L here and you take an L here, and then for whatever reason you expect a W down here at the same time from people that want to support your platform. And it's like, I don't understand where the read is. I don't understand where the pipeline is. It's like Duke Nukem Forever, when you pick up the shit and you start throwing it at the wall. That's what I feel like Phil Spencer and Microsoft and Satya Nadella's doing right now, and Sarah Bond and all that shit. It's just like, fuck it, just throw the shit at the wall and see what happens. Like maybe we'll get it in the toilet eventually. It's like, bro, what is going on? And that's the problem when this is criticisms from someone who is like really in, like, I like to say I'm informed about the industry. I mean, it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up my arse, but this is from someone who sits and like learns about this as much as I possibly can with the limited amount of time I have in my life. But these are the kind of questions that people ask who are like me when it comes to investing in your ecosystem and whether I want to stay on your ecosystem going forward. And this is the exact same shit I was asking when I jumped from the Xbox One to the PS4. I was like, this ain't going anywhere. I feel like this console's stagnating, which it did, and I was right. I'm going to buy a PS4, and it was the best decision I ever made in that 8th generation. It was so fucking good.
I wish I got there immediately. It took me over halfway through the generation, because I was like, oh, well, I love Halo and Gears, and I was a big 360 fan, so stuck with the Xbox One. But you see, like, even from my perspective right now, like, I have a Series X in my home, and it's like, okay, so the Series X, you sold it to me, and you at a loss.
Yes.
You still are pushing Game Pass heavy. I don't subscribe to it, so you don't have me there. But if you did, you'd be taking a loss on the games in Game Pass. But I don't have subscription there. I'm going to buy your games on other platforms at full price. I feel like a lot of people are in that same situation that I'm in, or they don't even own an Xbox, where it's like, look at the options here. Like, buy an Xbox, take a loss. Get in Game Pass, take a loss. Buy Xbox's published games anywhere at full price. Huge gain for Microsoft. So why are you dragging along this corpse that is your console? And Game Pass isn't as... The thing about the Game Pass is it has potential still to gain in popularity and grow to where there's enough subscribers that, especially if they're not at the tier, they're like getting all the day one games, that you could see. It's like Netflix operating at a loss for years. Yeah. And then one day it suddenly switches over, and it's like when that little tick from losing money to gaining a cent happens.
Yes. Yep.
Suddenly it pours in, and now Netflix is getting billions in profit. There is hope for Game Pass as an ideal thing, especially as we move into a future with, so much heavy internet in cloud based and stuff like that. Especially if they're able to marry Game Pass with mobile somehow, when they own King that came with Activision Blizzard. Yep. There's some hope for Game Pass, but as it stands, you're losing money on the console. You're probably losing money on Game Pass, but you're making a shit ton on the on your published games. Yeah. There was a point where I thought, okay, maybe I could see you selling games on your competitors' platforms to have capital to increase the quality of your ecosystem. Yes. But right now, it seems like you're not even trying to build a strong console. Yeah, an ecosystem of your own. Yeah. So rather than make a shit ton of money as the biggest publisher in the world and then waste a bunch of it on your own console Game Pass stuff, why don't you just make the pivot to all publishing and just have massive profits round the clock? Like, even if you keep a console out, you have so laughably been lapped by your competitors, Sony and Nintendo, that I just don't understand what the point of staying in the market is, other than just some people love Xbox and they don't want us to go away. But we know you don't care about that, Microsoft, really. So why not just rip the band off? Just go third party. And I get, like, even if you rip the band-aid off now, you need to support the Series X and S for years to come still, of course. But don't launch a new generation. Then again, the new generation, they could pivot in some crazy way, and it's either a cloud-only console or what I would prefer, a dedicated handheld that plays my library already. Because then you would get me to buy an Xbox piece of hardware, right? Because if I have 200 plus games I've owned in my Xbox account, and you release an Xbox handheld that's dedicated, I can take anywhere, and it plays all of my library, even if it's a $600 portable, you will get me to buy Xbox hardware because I already have such a huge library. That's, you know what I mean? Like that I think would be smart. So they got to pivot massively there, but I think they should just go full third-party publishing. I know we're both sick and tired of Microsoft's bullshit. I'll let you take it away, Joe. And I think when you pass it back to me, I'm going to ask a really quick special question. We'll talk about what we've been playing next week.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go on too long at all. I'm going to really keep this succinct just because I think we've exhausted the dialogue options in many ways to our Bethesda podcast here. But it's I don't know. It's just a shame. It's one of those things where I'm like, how do you fumble the bag so much throughout, like
repeatedly?
I mean, it's over 10 years now, you know, like how it's 11 years, right? Yeah. Like how do you do it? Like
they never had a comeback moment really either.
They've never the
really introduction
had,
of Game Pass kind of was.
Game Pass was like, yeah, cool. But like even statistically and monetarily, it wasn't a comeback. It was just like a in the hearts and minds of everyone.
It was cool.
Right? Like,
it was cool.
It was cool. It was novel. And it was like, I will never bash like the Xbox backwards compatibility feature set, even their ecosystem, you know, even their subscription services for what they are, regardless of their further greater impact to the rest of the industry. They're very fucking good. It's just that I'm like, guys, you are feeding a monster that doesn't give back to the town in any way. Like you are feeding a troll under a bridge. You know, like it is just swallowing up your children and not giving anything back. And it's like, why do you keep supporting it? And I 100% understand why people stick on the platform because it's like, oh, it's what I know and I like the shooter side of it. But it's like, dude, like that time is getting shorter, you know? Like I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 to 3 years we see a Halo on PlayStation. Halo Infinite, PlayStation exclusive, PlayStation title. And it's like, what are you still on there for, bro? Like, are those backwards comp titles really that good? Do you really go back and play those games? Do you really play all the games in the Game Pass offerings? Like, really?
No. Yeah,
I know I don't.
Really what holds me to my Xbox, because I'm cool. I would be completely fine playing Halo games on PC. I own the Halo games on my gaming PC already.
Yep.
What really holds me is some odd strays that I can't get, like the Gears trilogy.
Yes,
you know. So, but the thing is, I already bought the console years ago. So the only thing that's keeping me from doing is selling it, right? So,
I know I've been going on about like Xbox with keeping their cards close to their chest and not showing everyone at the table, but I really do think like they're at a point now where their whole consensus around their brand is so in the gutter.
It's muddied.
I don't know if you could get any worse unless you did like some human rights bollocks or like some workers violation shit like Bobby Kotick style, because ultimately like I think the only thing that I think the saving grace for Xbox right now is to be as like, if you want to be clear, right? Like let's be crystal with Microsoft. You want to be clear with like taking L's and making excuses like you've just done Phil Spencer to VGC and all this stuff, right? If you want to be that clear with all that stuff, then at least give us a clear pipeline in terms of what the fuck is going on with your business throughout from like for the next like 3 years or something. Like I would like to see like a fucking detailed bulleted point of like everything that's going to happen extensively, because I want to know, not like investors will want to know, and they'll get this information behind closed doors. I want to know what you're doing. I really do. And I think everyone needs a little bit of like hope right now. But they won't.
It sucks. I need to wrap this up, but it sucks too because I know that Xbox fans really wanted Microsoft to make these huge acquisitions like Activision to like get a comeback for their team, their Team Green, their consoles. But it's clear that acquiring $70 billion Activision Blizzard just put a huge mark on Xbox's back from Microsoft, from their parent company, saying, you guys have been dicking around. You guys have been dicking around here over in the corner for a while. You know, you've had some wins, you've had some L's, but nobody really pays attention to you. And then suddenly, this is such a huge acquisition. It's like, it's literally, I know we've said it before, it's the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings going, wait a minute, what the? I think someone with the ring is like right outside of Mount Doom right now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know? And that's what's happening. And because of that, it's because of the gamers that wanted Microsoft to do this dumb Game Pass bullshit, acquisition bullshit. It's because of, and I'm not blaming the gamers, but the gamers who championed that is what led to your platform being just melted. I can't think what the word is. You're all those acquisitions and service movements that you wanted Microsoft to make. That's what the word is liquidated. That's what's liquidated the platform. That's what's made your console not be anything more than just a way to play games that everyone else is playing.
Yes.
So, but Joe, I think I had a really good special topic, and I want to talk about what I've been playing. So let's save those for next week.
Sure.
And just and we'll finish it off here. I think people understand we had a really good conversation about Xbox. It totally got us worked up.
I will say I'm excited for Indiana Jones. That's all I'll leave it on.
Me too. Like, Indiana Jones looks fire, dude. I love Troy Baker's speech on it too. So.
But guess where I'm buying it, Ryan?
PlayStation.
PlayStation. Come over here. Come to the blue. It's very nice.
It's very nice. We have everything. We even have the competitors games. You like blue? You like blue? We have blue. You like green? We also have green.
It's fucking blue.
Yeah. Great stuff. All right, guys. Well, you know where to go. If you want to support us on Patreon, that's at patreon.com/criticalframes. If you want to email us or send us a voice clip, that is at criticalframes@gmail.com. We got special episodes for patrons and stuff like that. Have your name shout out at the end of the episode. Go on YouTube. I debated even mentioning this because no one is even going to notice, but I'll go ahead and do it anyways. We went ahead and closed the Discord for Critical Frames because, as a new podcast we started, it had like 25 members, and 15 of them were inactive, and the other 10 were like me and Joe plus a couple people who barely talked anyways. So we just closed the Discord. And it also
doesn't help that I quit all the Discords as well.
Yeah, and Joe left the Discord because he's trying to get away from Discord. So we just closed the Discord. Not really a loss. But we appreciate your support on Patreon. You are more than welcome to contact us through our email, YouTube comments, all that stuff. And of course, if in time audience grows, there's demand, we could start another Discord or we could start some kind of chat or something like that. But for now, just doesn't really seem like the time with the lower interest we have. But guys, we thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you thought of Gamescom Opening Night Live. Are you playing Black Myth Wukong? Do you think Xbox has a clear vision that we're missing? We would love to hear it.
Xbox is ever going to win any side of this industry?
We all would like to know. But Joe, any final thoughts before I say goodbye?
No, I'm going to edit this up. This will go out on a Thursday, so that'll be exciting. I think I'm going to finish Bounty Hunters tonight.
Nice.
I'm going to give it
I hope to play some more Near Replicant, but I don't know if I'll get time or not. Now that a lot of times when I record with Joe, that's kind of my free time for the day. So, but good episode, Joe. I really had a good time, and I look forward to you getting this posted so I can listen to us rant about Xbox. Maybe I'll just skip to that part. It's the best part. So
it definitely is highlight. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Wish Joe a good time out in the mountains. He'll be thinking of you. No, he won't. Actually, probably the last thing on his mind. But you guys have a great week. We love you. Thank you for listening, and have a good one. Peace, guys.
Peace. Critical Frames, a PlayStation podcast, is created in partnership between Brian Arvett and myself, Joseph Smalley. It's available on all mainstream audio and video feeds, and all music featured in the show is by Caleb Webster. We're incredibly grateful to the following All Access Pass patrons for the support they've shown for this independent venture: Boba's Feet, Darren.jpg, DNTD Hombre, and Music Tree 23.